representatives. The meeting will specifically discuss how real progress can be made on repairing Mica-affected homes following the approval of the legislation in July and on delivering social housing across the county. Minister McConalogue says there are many still seeking answers and clarity on redress. He believes there is room to advance more applications for Mica homeowners.
It's my strong belief that there's a significant number of applications which you can make real progress on with the right cooperation between the County Council and the Department, get answers on and clarity on in the short term so that they actually can get approvals. That's going to be the key objective of the meeting today, to discuss how the County Council, working with the Department, can ensure that we make progress on those applications which are outstanding.
Public hospitals will not cope this winter without the help of private hospitals. That's the view of INMO General Secretary Phil Hay, who's calling for early agreements to be made now. Her comments come as Ireland braces itself for a winter of COVID and flu and deals with significant staff shortages in hospital settings. Phil Hay says if changes aren't made now, procedures will continue to be cancelled.
We're anticipating that our hospitals that are already overcrowded will not cope this winter. That's why we've asked for an early agreement with private hospitals so that we can make sure that acute services are not overwhelmed to the point that if you're a patient waiting for a procedure today that you're getting a phone call to say, sorry, we don't have a bed and we're cancelling your procedure.
There are fears someone could be seriously injured unless safety measures are rolled out on a main route in Inishowen. Councillor Rena Donaghy says residents in the Tubin area of Burnfoot are living in fear due to the volume of traffic travelling on the road from Derry to Buncrana. She's calling for traffic calming measures to be put in place.
A number of residents in the Tubin area of Burnfoot, they have been saying that the problem there is that they find it very difficult to get across the road to the shop there. It's a very, very busy road. It's also actually a regional road. It's a very wide road at that particular part where the shop is. And with the bus stop there and people trying to get across from the bus as well, I have asked that the engineer would look at some kind of a safety measure to be put in place there.
Weather now mostly cloudy today with some sunny breaks at times and the chance of a few isolated light showers. Highest temperatures of 15 to 17 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
At Ulster Bank, we are closing. And from the 8th of October, all customers whose accounts have passed the 6-month closure notice period will no longer be able to use their accounts. For our customers making nursing home payments, for themselves or on behalf of a loved one, make sure your payments remain uninterrupted by switching your account now. For more vulnerable customers who need extra assistance, please call our vulnerable customer line on 1800 656 001. Call costs may vary and calls from mobiles may not be free. Ulster Bank Ireland DAC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
The 9 till noon show with St Eunan's GA Club Development Draw. €40,000 in prizes. First prize, a Hyundai Kona car, plus 9 other great prizes. Tickets now available online at steunансgadraw.com or any club member.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, a very good morning. It's just about to turn 4 minutes past 9 on this Monday, the 19th of September 2022. How are you keeping? I hope you're well. Tell us how your weekend was. Anything we should be talking about. 086 60 25,000. WhatsApps to that number and text. I think more of you WhatsApp now than text, which is understandable. The phone lines are there for you, though. Don't forget, if you want to speak to someone, we have Donna Marie and Emma taking your calls today, and you can send in your emails to comments@highlandradio.com as well. And if you want to hop over and watch the show, do so on our website at highlandradio.com. You'll see the watch live button there. Or if you prefer, go to YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland, or across our Facebook pages. So no excuse not to get involved in the conversation one way or other. All right, let's have a look at the newspapers today. We'll start with Monday's edition of the Dairy People Donegal News. Plans to fly the national flag at half-mast outside council buildings today have divided opinion among Donegal councillors. Taoiseach Micheál Martin's office contacted all local authorities on Friday, requesting that the flag be lowered to mark the funeral of Queen Elizabeth. That's the Queen of Britain. In an email to Donegal County Council Chief Executive John McLaughlin, The Taoiseach asked that arrangements be made for the flying at half-mast of the national flag from all buildings, if any, under your control, equipped with a permanent flagpole on Monday, the day of the funeral of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. Mr McLaughlin relayed the request to elected members on Friday morning, but not all are in agreement. The Donegal News wrote to the county's 27 councillors on Saturday after West Donegal Independent Micheál Colin McGillen-Aspeg branded the proposal a disgrace. Speaking during a radio interview on Friday, I'm not sure where that radio interview took place. It's not mentioned here on the front of the paper, the Donegal News newspaper. Speaking during a radio interview on Friday, why would we be flying our national flag at half-mast when still even yet we have the British military occupation to the 6 counties? I'm not sure if that was here or RNG or national. I'm not sure at all. Anyway, what do you think? 086 60 25,000. Do you agree with Micheál Martin's request to fly the flag at half-mast or not? Let us know. The Irish Independent, €300 extra on your energy bill before you flick a switch. So I'm not sure what the motivation for the electricity and gas providers are, but they are obviously very much aware that our money is being taken from us to be given back to us by the government to ease the cost of energy, and yet they are planning on imposing huge increases in standing charges during the energy crisis. Some suppliers charge up to $700 a year in standing charges, regardless of how much energy a customer uses. So in other words, if you are connected to the grid, you don't use any electricity at all, your bill is €700. That's a standing charge. An investigation by bonkers.ie in the Irish Independent reveals providers have pushed up the standing charges for residential customers by more than €300 in some cases. Consumer advocates have questioned the fairness of hiking standing charges for hard-pressed householders. The standing charge is supposed to reflect the fixed costs associated with providing gas and electricity supply and not the unit cost of energy. The charge cannot be avoided and has to be paid no matter how much electricity or gas a household uses. Michael Kilcoyne, chair of the Consumers Association of Ireland, called on the government to change the rules to allow the energy regulator to have a role in setting the setting of the standing charges. It's a horrible little charge because no matter what you do, you can't avoid it. It's guaranteed money for the gas and electricity providers. And as I say, they know that the government is handing out extra money to people to try and ease the cost of their living, but they're plonking it on, either directly or indirectly, the standing charge. It's just actually completely unfair. Whatever else and other words one might want to use, it is completely unfair because these companies are making record profits. So it's not like they're trying to insulate themselves from losses. So it's completely unfair. They are making record profits but still putting on charges that we can't avoid in a crisis. And there's nothing we can do because we have to have electricity. We can't really protest it in any meaningful way. The Irish Times, the United Kingdom comes to a halt this morning when the funeral ceremony of Queen Elizabeth II pauses at 11:55 to allow for a 2-minute reign of silence. It's really quite remarkable what's going on in Britain. I find it remarkable just when you see people queuing for hours on end, and we're going to speak to someone who did just that. But, I mean, they're cancelling flights out of the London airport so as to keep noise down. Do you know, that kind of stuff? I get it. It's fine. It's none of my business, but it's really quite remarkable the lengths to which they're going. The mark of respect represents the still point of a day, which is at once a sumptuous display of royal and military funeral pageantry, an intense security and logistical operation, and a vast outpouring of public affection for the late monarch. Operation London Bridge, which began as soon as the Queen's death was announced to 11 days ago, will conclude when she's laid to rest in the royal vault of St George's Chapel after a private ceremony at Windsor Castle. More than 70 heads of state, including US President Joe Biden and the President of France, Emmanuel Macron, arrived in London over the weekend for what represents an unprecedented concentration of world leaders. They will be seated in the south transept of Westminster Abbey some 2 hours ahead of the 11 a.m. service. President Michael D. Higgins and Taoiseach Micheál Martin both signed the Book of Condolence at Lancaster House yesterday. Mr. Higgins and Mr. Martin were accompanied by their respective wives, Sabina and Mary, in paying their respects at the... I can't remember how to pronounce that word. I'll come back to that. It's in Westminster Hall anyway. It's the big ceremonial area. Okay. What do you think? Will you be watching it? Are we going to lose all of our listeners and watchers at 11 o'clock? Are you going to switch the telly on and watch that funeral? Let us know. 086 60 25,000. Don't let us know that you won't be with us. It's just curious as to why you might watch it. You know, we like a good funeral and we're pretty nosy, aren't we? So for a lot of people, that would be reason enough to have a gander. But anyway, let us know. Irish Daily Mail. There is grave concern at the heart of government that the ongoing energy crisis now poses a real threat to Ireland's record full employment figures. The figure of 2.5 million people in work has played a key role in driving Ireland's current fiscal surplus. However, unease is growing that there could be a cross-contamination between the ongoing extreme power price increases and Ireland's employment figures. Well, listen, obviously, I mean, there's a lot of businesses simply will not be able to stay in business, certainly at full whack for the winter. How could you when you're getting bills for 10, 20, 30,000 euro for electricity when you run a cafe? I mean, who could afford to stay open at all, if not even just part-time? So, of course, people are going to lose their jobs. One minister warned it's now recognised that the government needs to respond in an overwhelmingly impactful way to this threat. Economically, we're facing into a winter of fear. The challenges are huge. We need a COVID-style onslaught to tackle the crisis. Tánaiste Leo Varadkar also warned an intervention similar to the major COVID employment support scheme may yet be required. Though we do need something, but I don't know the logic of paying people if they're not working in the same way as we did previously. But as I say, people has to be supported. I wonder, are they analysing if that's the right way to do it? The Irish Daily Star, the public really need to worry about getting their flu vaccine over fears the health service will buckle under the twindemic expected to come, a top pharmacist has warned. Now, I wonder what the flu vaccine uptake might be like this winter. It seems very important in offsetting the worst effects of flu for vulnerable groups. Those that are vulnerable to the worst excesses of flu, really, is what I'm saying. I'm not judging people or anything. But maybe people feel they're injected out of it. I don't know. Let us know what you think out there, particularly if you are one that might get the flu jab on a regular basis. Are you going to get it perhaps with a booster this year? Do you feel that it's the right thing for you to do? Well, a combination of COVID-19 and the winter flu will batter Ireland in the months ahead, trends suggest. But 3 in 5 Irish adults claim they are not concerned about the winter flu season, a Lloyd's Pharmacy research found. It follows the latest trends in Australia, where the winter flu combined with COVID-19 led to a difficult winter for the health service. This year, Australia saw the flu virus affecting all age groups and not just the elderly or vulnerable. And we make our flu vaccines based on what's happening in Australia in their winter, and that's why they are looking to Australia to see what might happen here. Though there's no guarantees. Speaking of businesses closing in the Irish Sun today, pub licences are changing hands for record prices of up to €70,000 despite the decline of the boozer. Supermarkets and petrol stations are among those snapping up limited 7-day pub licences. They can be used for anyone opening an off licence as well as a pub. Some 349 bars shut down during the pandemic, with licences renewals falling from 7,137 in 2000 to 6,788 in 2021. So the pub licences have been snapped up by businesses, off licences. Did you know that? Did you know you can cross over a pub licence to an off licence? I did not know. Under Irish law, there is a cap on the number of licences. So any new drinks businesses has to buy a licence from another business willing to let theirs expire. William Gabbett from John Shaw Auctioneers has licences for between 62 and 70,000 euro. He told the Irish Sun they're worth anything from 50 to 70,000, depending on who wants them and what and who doesn't. But generally, 60,000 euro would be a good price. Okay, interesting. I say, learn something new every day. I did not know that. And lastly, in the Irish Daily Mirror this morning, the chair of the EU tax subcommittee is looking for renewed assurances that Ireland is still committed to a minimum corporation tax rate of 15%. The call comes amid lingering concerns from EU institutions about the country's ability to regulate several tech giant headquarters in Dublin. Dutch MEP Paul Tang and 5 other MEPs from the subcommittee are due in Dublin today for a 2-day visit. They will meet Finance Minister Paschal Donohoe, a rep from Revenue, and groups including the Irish Congress of Trade Unions and the Irish Business and Employers Confederation. Mr Tang, an economist, said previously that his aim as chair of the European Parliament's FIS committee
was to spark debate in capitals of EU nations about fairer tax systems. And of course, we have a huge corporation tax here. We're spending that, or we're not spending it, but that's what the government will be spending during the budget. And the fear, of course, is that if you increase the corporation tax, that you could lose it, that we would be less competitive and so on and so forth. All right, that's a run through the papers so far today. Let's take a quick break and then we'll be back with more on the 9 till noon show. Stay right where you are.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
Would you like to win a Hyundai Kona car? Well, that's the first prize in the St. Eunan's GA Club Development Draw, who are sponsors of this week's 9 till noon show. There's 9 other great prizes, and tickets are now available online at steunans.gadraw.com or any club member.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
Your next move matters, so why not move better? Start your move to permanent TSB today. Apply in-app for our award-winning current account. So don't just move bank, move better. Apply in-app today. Applications for Explore Current Account in-app in sole name for over 18 personal customers. Residents of Republic of Ireland only. Fees and charges, terms and conditions apply. Awarded bunkers.ie Best Current Account 2022. Permanent TSB PLC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
McCullough Jewellers in Letterkenny are synonymous with fine jewellery, quality watches and giftware. With stores at Main Street, Letterkenny and the Letterkenny Shopping Centre, or online at ormccullough.com. You can choose from their quality product range in a relaxed atmosphere, and their sales staff will be happy to help you make the right choice, whatever the occasion. McCullough Jewellers, making moments magical for generations.
Thinking of hiring a locksmith? Or do you provide locksmith services? Did you know that locksmiths must hold a PSA licence issued by the Private Security Authority? Locksmiths who operate without a licence, and anyone employing one, is breaking the law and could face prosecution and fines. For more information on how to get a licence or to report an unlicensed locksmith, visit psa-gov.ie. Issued by the Private Security Authority, the security regulator.
Attention all pet lovers and owners. Gary's Pet World Letterkenny is open 7 days per week, offering the very best value on all pet foods, accessories, grooming and care products. Call in and let our staff help you spoil your pet today. You will be amazed by the range of product for all pets, with exceptional value on all leading brands. Alternatively, you can browse and buy online at petworld.ie and we will deliver to your home.
We wish you a... It may be too early for Christmas carols, but it's never too early to start the Christmas shopping. Save hundreds, possibly thousands of euros shopping online with Space Hub Derry. We provide a full virtual address mailbox service for all your Christmas parcels and post. Save hundreds, possibly thousands on customs charges this Christmas with Space Hub Derry. Call 04871 878077 for more details.
Okay, let's go to Brenda, originally from Creasla, here in beautiful Donegal, but a pub owner now in Windsor. Hi, Brenda. Good morning to you.
Hi, Greg. How are you doing?
Good to speak to you. How long have you been living and working now over in England, Brenda?
Since 19. I think it was. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, tell us. You have you joined this queue that has been across the news channels for the last number of days to pay your respects to Queen Elizabeth. Is that correct?
That's right, yeah. On Thursday.
What was the experience like?
It was an experience, Greg. Yeah, it was. Queuing up, speaking to the people. It was, really good. And then when you get in there and you see the coffin and everything, it's like something, it's history. You never see it again.
Yeah. How long were you queuing for, Brenda?
13 hours.
Wow. And then once you actually get into where Queen Elizabeth is lying in state, how long does it take to move through that part?
Well, you'd only be in there for maybe half a minute,
right.
But they were changing the guard when we went in there. So we got a wee bit extra,
Yeah. And
we had David Beckham behind us.
Oh, right, okay, because he queued for quite some time as well, didn't he?
He did. He started queuing just maybe about an hour after me, I think it was.
And did he keep himself to himself? Did he mix with the crowd, or?
He did. He kept himself to himself. Nobody knew really until maybe about 1 o'clock in the daytime. People started saying, "Oh, there's Beckham." And you go, "Oh yeah, it is." But he did keep himself to himself, and yeah.
Yeah, because he donned a Peaky Blinders style cap, didn't he? Maybe as by way of.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you got a bit longer there because of the changing of the guard. But what was your emotion having queued for so long and then to finally find yourself in that room? Like, obviously, you get a sense of being part of something historic, but on any other level, did you feel anything?
I was just thought it was like a special occasion, history, and I thought, I live in Windsor. She's like my neighbour, so I thought, it was something to remember,
And just in terms of the queue, sorry to keep talking about it, but like,
that's okay.
What happens if you get tired or you need to sit down, or do they have toilets on the way? And how do you go to the bathroom in these toilets and maintain your place in the queue? What's the practical situation there?
So you had toilets and there was little coffee stalls maybe along the way,
Right.
But you get a band, so if you go out of the queue, the there for so long, everybody knows where you go back into the queue again,
Yeah.
There was no queue jumping or anything like that. You just crack on.
Now, there are stewards and stuff, but to some extent, did the queue police itself?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Have you been surprised by the outpouring of emotion? Because, I mean, obviously, we're only exposed to a certain amount of media here. A lot of people consume a lot of British media. Yeah. But anyway, I never really got this sense of Queen Elizabeth's importance on this level. Nothing that would sort of justify, as far as I was aware, and I'm probably ignorant to this sort of national outpouring of grief. Did that surprise you, that this has affected so many people seemingly so deeply?
It didn't really, because I'm thinking she was been on the phone for 70 years, and such a long time. People did have respect for her and do have. And I wasn't surprised really that there would be so many going out, out in the queues and that. I thought, I would have expected that.
Now, as a pub owner in Windsor, are you a fan of the royal family, or do you sort of obviously respect the royal family but put stuff on to entertain and appeal to your clientele, Brenda?
I do, yeah. I do respect the royal family. I live in Windsor. My kids went to school in Windsor. We had a great platinum party just back there in June, I think it was. And the pub, of course, people respect the Queen and they want to celebrate her death just as much as her life when she was alive,
So what will you be doing today for the funeral? Because it is a pub, but pubs are staying open, I think, and you really are very close to the action there, so to speak. So what are you going to be doing today?
Well, at the minute I'm making smoked salmon sandwiches. So I'm going to open about 10:30, and people will come in that want to watch it together, and I'll close at probably 6 o'clock, and after Windsor and that, and everybody wants to watch it. So yeah, we'll watch it together and have some sandwiches and drink a drink.
So it'll be obviously solemn, but then maybe something of not a celebration as such afterwards, or a toast to the Queen, or what?
Yeah, it'll be a toast to the Queen. I think it'll be a bit of a celebration, too. She was an elderly lady. It was always going to happen, and so be it. This is it. Celebrate her life.
Yeah, I can't help but feel a lot of people, particularly in the media in Britain, have been keeping their powder dry, that they're sharpening the knives for the royal family after this has died down. Do you get a sense of that? And do you think maybe that change... I know Charles has suggested that he's going to make some changes to the royal family, but do you... I just have a feeling the media in big style are going to turn on the royal family following Queen Elizabeth's passing. Do you get a sense of that?
Yeah, well, I do think there's a supporting Charles, but you know what it's like. They can turn on him as quick as anything, yeah. They probably will, I suppose.
All right. Finally, what channel will you have on in the pub?
Well, at the minute I've got ITV.
Right, okay.
So, 3 televisions, ITV,
rightio.
BBC and whatever, And I met you at the London Vintage Show, by the way.
Very good. Oh, yes, of course. That was a good day too, wasn't it?
It was a great day, yeah. Fantastic.
Okay, very, very good. Okay, that's nice, Brenda. I didn't realise that connection now until you mentioned it.
Before I go?
Anything you want.
I want to wish happy 50th to my sister-in-law, Sheena McCarry, 50 on Wednesday. And good luck to Ellie at her new university. She'll be coming across the pond to Manchester.
And you'll be able to keep an eye on her, although you're some distance away. You're still on the same landmass. And no talk you ever coming home, Brenda.
Well, I'm thinking about trying to buy a little place there, beside the sea.
Oh, lovely.
It's a lovely place, as you know yourself.
Yes.
Dunfanaghy and all of this.
Excellent.
It's a great place. I've had half the people in the pub over there on holidays. And,
so you're doing your own little tourist office in Windsor for Creaslot, Dunfanaghy and Downings, yeah?
Okay. Definitely.
All right, Brenda, listen, I'll let you get on with it. So on the menu, smoked salmon sandwiches, cucumber presumably, what else?
Yes, definitely.
Pork pies?
Sausages, sausage rolls. No pork pies, no.
Too classy for that.
Unless somebody else brings them.
Okay. All right, Brenda, come here. I don't know what to say. Enjoy the day, but you know yourself. You know yourself what it's like. Okay, thanks, Brenda. Lovely to chat to you again.
Thanks, Greg.
All right, take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. That's Brenda from Crease. I didn't make the connection. That's another person, Donegal person doing well in London that we got a chance to speak to when we were over at the Tyrconnell Gale site for that event. Actually quite not interesting, but you might be aware of Tom O'Halloran, the Irish gentleman in his 80s. Do you remember he was the subject of that awful crime? He was murdered. Well, his funeral's taking place on Saturday the 1st of October, and a celebration of his life is being held afterwards in the Tyrconnell Gales clubhouse in Berkeley Avenue on the 1st of October, which is where the London Irish Vintage Show was held as well. So, as I say, just as an aside, but it's an important thing for some people. 100% yes, I'll be watching the funeral. It's going to be such a historical event, says this listener. I would not miss it. She was a lovely lady, and out of respect for you, I'll be watching from Buncrana listeners. So out of respect for her, she'll be, for me, for her, I presume, I'll be watching, and that comes in from my Buncrana listener. One down. We're going to lose one at 11. 086 60 25,000. Are you going to be watching? Very sophisticated scam going around, by the way, by people to be pretending to be from Ayr. They called and had all the information. I know a lady who lost €400. It was to say we were getting money bad back due to poor reception. They've called 3 times since. Wow. Okay, this is sophisticated. Let me see about Ayr. Sorry, I'll be back now. Here we are. There's articles about Ayr again and their customer service. Here we go. Ayr was denounced as a national disgrace by customers for its poor service. Among complaints were no TV over Christmas, rainfall cutting out the internet, and pensioners being left without functioning panic buttons. These are all complaints against Ayr. Well, what are the scammers doing? So really be careful about this one. The scammers are calling people claiming to be from Ayr, offering them refunds because of their poor service, but they look for your bank account and then they take your money. So really, it's very hard to get through to Ayr, let alone them calling you. So if you get it from Ayr, you probably know it certainly is a scam if they're offering you money. All right, let's take a break. We'll be right back.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show with St Eunan's GA Club Development Draw. €40,000 in prizes. First prize, a Hyundai Kona car, plus 9 other great prizes. Tickets now available online at steunансgadraw.com or any club member.
At Hickey, Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers, they compare quotes from all the leading insurers, so you get a great price. Home, motor and van, farm, holiday home, travel and liability insurance, they quote them all. So if the worst happens, you're covered. For a competitive insurance quote today, call Hickey, Clark and Langan on 9126688 or pop into their office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey, Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey, Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
In 2018, Toyota cut through the confusion, completely ceasing production of diesel passenger cars, lowering harmful emissions and providing certainty for Irish drivers everywhere. And Kelly's Toyota are proud to be part of that hybrid electric journey. Visit Kelly's Toyota, Letterkenny or Mount Charles today to see what makes Toyota Ireland's best-selling car brand in 2021 and 2022. You'll never take a wrong turn with Toyota. Built for a better world. Best-selling claim based on most recent monthly figures.
Green Shoes in Letterkenny and Fulcara have shoes for every occasion. All your favourite brands, from Una Healy, Tommy Bow and Echo, to Kate Appleby, Marcosi and Skechers, plus many more. Shop LK and One for All gift cards are gratefully accepted in store. Green Shoes in Letterkenny at Market Square and Letterkenny Shopping Centre, Fulcara, and online at greenshoes.com. Green Shoes, with the perfect fit for every foot.
Whether you're travelling for business or leisure, fly local and choose City of Derry Airport. For a convenient, friendly and reliable service, choose City of Derry Airport. Direct flights to London Stansted, Liverpool, Edinburgh, Glasgow, Manchester and Majorca. Book now at cityofderryairport.com. Voted the #1 airport in Northern Ireland.
Give your home a whole new look for less with the Foy & Company Autumn Sale. Get great value with up to 50% off selected lines across all departments. Redecorate your home in time for the festive season with great discounts on display sofas, ready-made cushions and curtains. Breathe new life into your walls with great savings on wallpaper and paint. Order now for guaranteed Christmas delivery. Don't miss out on fantastic savings in store and online at Foy & Company's Autumn Sale in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet while stocks last.
Okay, we're joined on the programme now by student nurse Luke. Luke, thanks for taking the time to talk to us today.
No bother at all. Happy to be on.
Luke, why did you decide to go into nursing?
So I was on Highland Radio way back when I was a student, and I was so proud to say, I'm determined to be able to help, in any way that I can. I absolutely love helping people, no matter what stage they are in their life. And ensuring everyone has access to dignity is one of the things I've always had, even in my voluntary work. And, nursing was a no-brainer for me in a place. It was a job that I wanted in a way I could always have work and, be paid something for it. But I didn't know what I was walking into with that last one. Right,
well, we'll talk it through. Did you, Luke, always have the intention to sort of train up, become a nurse and work in Ireland, or were you had you planned to maybe, or do you plan, to have a year in Australia or Britain, or what do you see your future as a qualified nurse as?
So absolutely. I always dreamed of just working in the Letterkenny Hospital, the University Hospital, or in Scally's as a nurse.
Just to give back and help, really. That's your motivation, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But then, having seen HSE conditions after I myself stayed, in hospital, and I understand that it is not the nurse's fault. It is, those managing the hospitals. Greg, I lied in the corridor with nowhere to change properly for 3 days, when I was in Sligo Hospital. And I was made wait in Letterkenny University Hospital for about 8 hours, in A&E. And it was dreadful.
Yeah. See, what worries me too, Luke, is this. I think there's at least 3 cohorts of people. There are those that go into the hospital and they pass through it smoothly and come out and they're happy and fair play. Maybe that's the majority of people. There are those with the experience like that you had, Luke. But I think there's a group of people out there as well who should go to hospital, but they don't because they're fearful of what lies await, and who's to say what negative impact that has on their condition or their life.
Absolutely.
That's what worries me, because I think people are afraid to go in there because they hear of the indignity at times, because they hear of the long waits, and they try and, and they shouldn't, and really people, whatever we talk about the hospital, if you feel sick, go to the hospital, you will be seen. But I just fear that people don't go to the hospital, and you just wonder the outcomes for them, Luke.
Oh, no, absolutely. But look, we all have to speak about our own experiences and how we find them and how we came across them. Because only when we talk about things, we can try and improve them to some, extent.
We can't bury our heads in the sand and pretend everything's perfect either.
Absolutely. And look, but I completely understand that it is not the nurses and it is not the doctors. it is the management. And I think if we just had better management, it would be a lot better. But,
right, talk me
in
through then
saying
your experience as a student nurse, because that's why we invited you on, Luke. I just wanted to touch on a few other things, but I want you to describe, it's like that TikTok trend, isn't it? Expectation versus reality. You could probably make a good one on this stuff, I think, Luke. But anyway, talk me through it.
So basically, you sign up, and you're all, you got the UCAO points or UCAS points, and you're absolutely over the moon. You sign up for the course, and you're really excited. You're meeting everyone, and then it's time for placement, which is fine. But then, for example, the students in the ATU Letterkenny campus, they get some random placement in, say, for example, Carndonna, and they're from Donegal Town. You now have to come up with the money to get a place in, Carndonna. And if you don't drive like me, you're expected to find a way to and from. And whether you can claim that back is, down to a board, a nursing board, and then they'll decide whether you can claim that money back or not. And a lot of people do not get their money back that I know of.
So how long is a placement, and what hours would you work? What would you be expected to? What duties would be expected of you, Luke?
So you are expected to do what you have been taught so far. So say, for example, now I'm going into second year, and basically you are given a list of things that you can do in first year and skills throughout the year, in skills classes. And basically in first year, I was doing a lot of person-centered care, ensuring people had dignity, that people were clean, and, everyone was comfortable, and ensuring that if I seen any problems, I would highlight it to the nurse. But a third-year nurse could be helping put in IVs, feeding tubes, everything a nurse can do. But obviously, he or she would have to be monitored. But the thing is, with the hours you'd be working is, I work 12-hour shifts, 3, maybe 4 times a week. And, no pay,
So, I mean, I know you're learning, but it must feel like you're doing the job of a fully trained person for free, effectively.
Absolutely. And it is kind of heartbreaking when, you see people and they're doing the exact same work as you, maybe sometimes, God, please God, it was a quiet day. Now, we never say that in the ward. You never say it's a quiet day, because it just jinx it. But, you're sitting there and, you're doing the same kind of idea of work as someone else. And then you go home and then you see your bank account and it's in the negative, and you're after working maybe, say, for example, a 48-hour week. And then like myself, I have a job in a care home, and then I'd be expected now to work maybe another 12 hours, and I'm on minimum wage as a care assistant. So it's like, it's crazy. And, then, remember that the DAL actually did have a vote in paying student nurses and did vote against it.
Because I think really you're not looking, obviously, for a pay presumably equal to that of a fully qualified nurse, but you certainly,
absolutely not.
If you're lucky enough to get a Susie grant, that if you're lucky again might cover your accommodation and maybe a little bit, but all these other costs and expenses to train to become a nurse, you're having to come up with yourself. As you say, you might be able to claim some back, but it goes to a board and there's no guarantees in that in relation to that. I mean, it's demoralizing because you are in the business to care for other people. This would almost beat it out of some people.
I know, and absolutely. And, I went into nursing with the hopes of ensuring everybody had dignity, only to find that those who are constantly, ensuring people have dignity have lack of it, which is a funny case of irony, in my opinion. And no way, in trying to show these people what dignity is, the student nurses, I mean, it's tough because then we're staying, in some, we're trying to find accommodation that, a landlord will be happy, to let something, say, for example, a placement could go on for the duration of about maximum about 2 months, really, unless you're a final year, you'll be working most of the time. 2 months, a month and a half, maybe 5 weeks. And, you're trying to find a place, a landlord that's in this climate trying to, rent a house for 5 weeks,
But
good
as
luck.
you near qualification and you're starting your second year, I mentioned now, we talk about recruitment and also retention. We also hear, and you've seen the working conditions in the two Northwest hospitals. I mean, do you start? I know you went into this with wanting to work locally and help local people, but do you find yourself being soured on that a little bit, saying that really, with everything I've gone through now, I would be much, I'd be in demand and far better looked after elsewhere? Do you find yourself sometimes wobbling on this desire to work in a local hospital as opposed to exploring some of the options that are available for you around the world?
Absolutely. I was so determined when I was like 16, 17, and even going into my degree, I was so determined that I'd be working in Letterkenny University Hospital. But then, having seen what other nurses were saying online, Ireland's biggest export is nurses, easy. And I was seeing what some of the nurses were saying, and the nurses in America that were Irish or in Australia and in Canada, they were laughing. They were like, oh my God, the state of the conditions in Ireland and the pay is horrendous. And, they're out there, in them three respective countries and more, living a very comfortable life with a decent pay and good working conditions, and that's not something that we should have to ask for,
Because, I mean, if the truth be told, if you stick it out here, you can forget about things like home ownership or what have you. I don't know if that is on your radar,
Absolutely.
but you can rule that out unless you win the lotto or something. You can rule that out if you decide to pursue your career in this country. I think that seems to be the general consensus.
It is, and I was listening to the show the last day, and it was on Friday, I believe. It was the early morning show, and they were talking about young people, and I was so disheartened, and I was hearing about the amount of young people that wanted to move abroad.
7 out of 10, yeah.
And 7 out of 10, and I don't even think that's exaggerated at all. I mean, you go out to maybe socialise, and and it's costing your life long to go out, even, and we're young. It's what we, it's not what we do, but it's how we enjoy ourselves, and it's phenomenal the amount of money that they're expecting us to just have, and we don't have that, and it's unfair to be able to expect people just to come up with this money and then train, do their training like myself. And I know, like, the quantity surveyors, say for example, and they have to go and, say for example, get a year placement in Dublin. Like, God forbid, imagine having to get a place in Dublin and then expected to pay for it. And I don't know how if they can claim something back. But the lives of the students and young people right now is just something else, and we're expected to come up with all, and I'm one of the people that feel I don't really like going to my parents constantly ask for money, but some parents don't have it.
No, you're going to, they don't have it, and they don't have it. I get you.
And,
also, I mean, I think core areas that we are struggling in, there is going to be a crisis in terms of, it's already difficult at the moment, but in recruitment into the health service. I mean, look how many vacancies there are, say, for instance, in Britain, in the NHS. I mean, they have record levels of vacancy. People simply don't want to work in the health service, either in Britain or here. So, like, we should be recognising that now and focusing resources to ensure that those who want to be nurses are trained up, they're looked after, and want to stay in the health service here. If we don't do it, it's bad now. I hate to think what it might be like in 5 or 10 years.
Absolutely. And, like, don't forget, the government is consciously keeping, say, for example, a 50% tax on petrol and diesel, but they wouldn't put the take the tax up and put it somewhere else so the health service can fund it. Everyone relies on the health service, the HSE. And for some people in Donegal and Cavan and Monaghan, they rely on, I know people that go to Altnagalman or, up north, because hopefully it'll be better. And, it's something else. And the fact that when you're working in it every day and you're expected to say thank you is just something else that really, it's just the cherry on top, which just, but you see everything that's going on, and you see, you hear everything, and, you see how exhausted some of the nurses are. And, I'll never forget when I was younger, like, seeing the nurses on strike, And I never, it was one of the teachers I had, and she never taught me, but I'll never forget it. She goes, "Oh, are they on strike again?" And now I'm like, "Oh God, when are we next on strike?" It's just never-ending cycle.
What is the dropout rate? Because for some people it might be.
I'm actually a course representative.
Yeah.
For my course, and the girls in my class, it's dropped. I think about 15 girls in total in my year.
Out of how many ish, Luke?
I'd say maybe about 150 kind of idea.
Right.
Now.
Okay. So it's like around maybe about 6 or 7% of people. But I mean, obviously, as things get tougher, that might go up there first year indeed.
Oh yeah, that was the first year.
Yeah.
And second year apparently is the hardest year. So don't remind me of that.
Okay. Well,
but you know what? It's determination, and I think I think if anything, the determination that the student nurses have to sit there and qualify and help is something else.
How many of the people in your class, will say 150 odd, in reality, how many of them, Luke, do you think will, because as you near qualification, countries will actively canvass you and offer you this, that and the other, signing up fees and all that kind of stuff. They might even be trying to sign people up in first year because they're proactively trying to offset problems coming down the line. How many of that 150 do you think will end up as nurses in Ireland shortly after qualification?
So I got the idea of going abroad from my friends, and and they were showing us the condition. They were showing me the condition, and I'd say out of 150, I'd say about 70 would stay in Ireland.
Because I think what happens is you promise yourself, look, I'm just qualified, I'll do 2 or 3 years in such and such a place and then I'll come back. I would say that's sort of what people...
Oh, that's everyone. Everybody believes that.
Whether it's true or not, that's the promise of the return. But really, maybe it's more like, I'm not valued here, why should I stay here?
And then, you might say, for example, then before you go, you might want to work a year, try and save up for, so you can get a nice, some girls try and save up for a year so they can, make sure that there's no real problems with moving, so they have everything, that they can afford everything when they go abroad, because, say, for example, they might not be allowed to work for the first 3 months or whatever. And then they were like, oh my God, this is working. And then they emigrate and then they work, say, for example, in Australia. And then they see the far better conditions in Australia. And they're like, I'm never moving back. I'm never going back.
But that being said, it's not that long ago that we saw nurses gathering great numbers in Australia saying they'd love to come back here if the conditions were better. It's not like it's hard to get them back. It's not because they love it in Australia. Some do, don't get me wrong, but a lot of people would love to be working at home close to mom and dad. You're probably getting to an age where, your mom and dad aren't as young as they used to be, or your granny and granddad, or your brothers and sisters are having children or whatever, But they have to look at their balance sheet and say, I can't afford to work in those conditions, but also for the pay that's being offered. Luke, there is some suggestion from time to time, and in fairness, I might have even said it myself in the, in a peak of my frustration, that people who are educated here, like nurses or doctors, there should be some level of not obligation, or maybe obligation, that they have to work in the health service for a year or two post-qualification, as if to sort of pay back the money that might have been invested in them by the state. So put me straight. What makes that a ridiculous suggestion?
If anything, I have paid for it more. The girls here, there's some people who don't qualify for Susie, and and then they are traveling around the county, and some of the girls aren't as lucky as the girls in Letterkenny or in Derry, that they get to live in a place that doesn't have as high rent. But say, for example, the ones in Galway or Dublin or Cork, they'd be paying more in accommodation as well themselves, and putting their own money through rather than the government. I don't understand that. I've heard of that, and people saying, oh, would you not work here for a year or two first? And I could not get my head around it. It really takes, stepping in my shoes to see what it feels like, working for maybe 48 hours a week, and you're not getting anything for that. And, in first and second and third year, and you have to say, it was a great experience, but can I afford to keep doing this, or do I want to just drop out and completely work full time myself? And you have to keep reminding yourself, no, I'm determined to do something, and then somebody then would say to you, sure, you didn't really do anything, are you not going to work here for the first year? You're like, excuse me. It kind of put me in a wee state of shock, but what can you do?
Come here.
People are always going to have
How long's the course? You're heading into year 2. Sorry to remind you of that. Is it a 3-year course, is it?
For me, so those studying in the north, it is a 3-year degree.
Yeah.
And for those studying in the south, it is a 4-year degree. But I have to say, it is far cushier to study in the north. But many of my friends are doing nursing in the ATU Letterkenny, and there is a bit of a difference. I will say that.
Okay.
And I will say that the void in the NHS is absolutely felt, and they are starting to treat the student nurses better. But in the HSE has a bit of catching up to do, to say the least.
Listen to this. My daughter is training to be a nurse. She can't get accommodation and is sleeping in her car. She's in her final year in Dublin and has no other choice but to sleep in the car. That's how bad the situation is. Can you imagine that?
And I'm telling you now, and then we're expected to pay for accommodation and then pray that it goes through the board,
She can't get accommodation.
And that's
she has to sleep
that's
in
not
the
even
car.
the first I've heard of it. I'm a course representative, and, people are telling me, they're sending me all these things. And there was a boy, and he went to the BBC and actually got a huge news thing, and he was sleeping in his car in Belfast, and it was his final placement, I believe. That's 3 months, in a car.
How will it be viewed, you speaking out, Luke? I think it's important to give us an insight from a student's perspective, and it's great to have you back on the show again. But
well, thank you very much.
I don't think maybe the powers that be might be too happy with someone pulling the curtain back so we can all see what's actually going on.
It's not, and that's the realistic. It is reeled in, on the promise of, you like helping people, so do we, and the actual then, going through the process and even coming out of it process is not as picturesque as it is portrayed to be. And it, like I said, it is not the nurses, it is the management. And if we just had better management through the HSE and for those who are studying in the north or working in the north, listening to this in Strabane, if we could just have better management, it would make the hospitals flow 10 times better. But we don't. For some reason, it's just not there. And I really do wish it was, because I know the nurses are working so hard. I know the speech and language therapists, the pharmacists, they're really, and they're all training. Like, we all see the health service and we're like, do we want to work here?
Well, see, it's also too, what we're hearing is...
There's a speech and language therapist, and she has no intention, she would like to emigrate.
Yeah, and speaking to people in training in mental health services, you hear the same stories.
Oh, yeah, so the mental health service is sometimes worse. And I'm very sorry if anyone listening to this does want to become a nurse, but it's a tough career, but for me, I love it. I still love it.
But you shouldn't have to sacrifice so much of you to become a nurse, and I include you emotionally, financially, physically. You shouldn't have to sacrifice so much to become a nurse.
Because considering that other placements, like say for example those who are doing business or quantity surveying, they're paid for their placement, like fully paid.
Okay.
And the nurses ask for the same thing, and it's like, oh no, how, what? This is all part of the plan, and while it should be part of the plan, so should some sort of minimum wage kind of idea, where at least we get something for for a 48-hour week. It's scandalous. And,
all right.
Knowing that members of Dáil Éireann actually voted against us getting some sort of money, I think it's horrendous, and I don't think it's a sin to ask about it. Because like say for example that poor girl living in her car in Dublin, like who knows what part of Dublin first of all she's staying in a car,
But it's not just her. My grandchild did her leaving cert through the pandemic, got her place in college. She had to turn it down because she had no accommodation. So people are having to make a decision. Do you pursue your career options and live in your car effectively, or not go on to third level? I mean, it's crazy that people are finding themselves in that situation now.
Absolutely, and if they can afford it in the first accommodation in the first place, I think everybody knows someone looking to go to Dublin, and they're like, "Why did I pick Dublin?" Outside of first year, it's not pretty because then you're kind of more or less on your own in terms of finding accommodation, because university accommodation prioritises first years, and as soon as you land to Dublin for your first year, you should probably more or less go and look for a place to stay for second year.
For second year, yeah, it's like that. All right. Luke, listen, I have to go to the news at 10. I really appreciate you coming on and giving us that insight. And I hope this year goes well for you. I hope the powers that be, or maybe the futures of powers that be, are listening. And understand that we have to look after people like you or we'll lose you. And then we wonder, well, why is there so many vacancies in the HSC? Well, here's where it starts.
Absolutely.
Luke, thanks for your time. Keep it up. All right, thank you.
Thank you very
much. Take care of yourself, Luke. Lovely to speak to you. Okay. Luke there.
Would you like to win a Hyundai Kona car? Well, that's the first prize in the St. Eunan's GA Club Development Draw, who are sponsors of this week's 9 till noon show. There's 9 other great prizes, and tickets are now available online at stunansgadraw.com or any club member.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
Don't sleep in and miss the very latest beds and mattress offers from dfibeds.ie, Ireland's leading online bed and mattress retailer. You'll get a comfy Irish-made mattress, upholstered base and headboard from an amazing €229. Check out the full range at dfibeds.ie. Delivery free and guaranteed to you within 7 working days. DFI Beds. Sleep well, live well.
At Bryson Recycling, we love to recycle. We accept a wide range of items at our 6 recycling centres across County Donegal. Located in Dunlow, Letterkenny, Stranraer, Milford, Lahey and Carndonagh. Only €4 per car load of recycling, with an extensive free area. And with contactless card payments now available at all our sites, it's even easier to recycle the right way. Check out brysonrecycling.org for more details.
Thinking of changing your car for a new car? Get ahead of the queue. It's time to order your new 2023 Kia today. With an award-winning range of vehicles, your next car will be a Kia, we are sure of it. Visit Letterkenny or Malin or imotors.ie.
From the smallest shrub to the largest tree in an awkward place, Donnelly Tree Services provide a complete range of tree surgery services. Whether you need to remove a dangerous tree or some nuisance branches, Donnelly Tree Services have the experience and expertise to carry out tree surgery to the highest of professional standards. Call 083 005 9939. Donnelly Tree Services, Donegal. No job is too small, no tree is too tall.
If you're in business and you need to accept card payments, An Post offer the best value in card payment solutions, saving Irish businesses on average 25% on current costs. It's fast and easy to set up or switch. Your money hits your account the next day. Call An Post on 1800 300 150 or email cardpayments@anpost.ie and start accepting card payments today.
What matters most? A good night's sleep? Kitchen quality time? A clean house? Dinner time tradition? Or putting your feet up after a long day? What matters most? A happy home. Home Store and more. A happy home.
For day-to-day healthcare needs, generations have trusted the experienced staff at McGee's Chemist in Letterkenny. From coughs and colds to aches and pains, from vitamin supplements to first aid essentials, McGee's have what you need when you need it, with a full prescription service available daily. McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny. For healthcare help and advice you can always trust.
He's not sure where to stand. He doesn't know a single rule. This game isn't familiar. Neither are his teammates. He's outside of inside jokes. And inside, he's shaking. He's learning how to solo. He's starting to feel like he's not alone. His local club welcomed him in like one of their own. He is one of their own. He's a newcomer, and he belongs where we all belong, GAA, where we all belong.
Europe Direct Letterkenny will host Harry McCann, advisor to the EU and a member of the European Pool of Young Journalists, on Wednesday the 21st of September to talk about the opportunities for young people in Europe. To book, please telephone 074 9124 950 or email central@donegallibrary.ie.
Kia Sportage, Donegal's best-selling car in both new and used. Call into us in Letterkenny or Malin to find out why the Sportage is a Donegal favourite. Take a test drive today and you won't be disappointed.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, I'm Michaela Clark with the news at 10 o'clock. The first mourners attending the Queen's funeral have taken to their seats in Westminster Abbey. Ward leaders, including Taoiseach Micheál Martin and President Michael D. Higgins, will be in attendance. The service begins at 11 o'clock when British Royal Navy sailors will tow the gun carriage carrying the coffin to the Abbey from Westminster Hall. Brenda, who is originally from Creeslaw and now lives in Windsor, queued for 13 hours to pay her respects to the Queen in recent days. She told the 9 till noon show that it's an important time for people who want to remember the Queen.
I do respect the royal family. I live in Windsor. My kids went to school in Windsor. We had a great platinum party just back there in June. I think it was in the pub. Of course, people respect the Queen and they want to celebrate her death just as much as her life when she was alive, The
Finance Minister says it's surprising to see energy companies hiking standing charges. The standing charge is an amount customers have to pay regardless of how much energy they use, which is meant to cover the fixed costs of the company. Despite it not being linked to energy prices, an examination by bonkers.ie and the Irish Independent reports increases of more than €300 a year in some fixed charges. Finance Minister Paschal Donohoe says energy companies should be doing all they can not to put further pressure on consumers.
It's very surprising to see that kind of change. While I would expect that the price of the infrastructure and the equipment may indeed change over time, maybe that is what is driving a change like that. But however, it is up to the companies themselves to justify that. And any additional pressure on households and businesses, every effort should be made to avoid that.
Mica and social housing will be top of the agenda today at a meeting being held between Agriculture Minister Charlie McConlogue, Donegal County Council Management and elected Fianna Fáil public representatives. The meeting will specifically discuss how real progress can be made on repairing Mica-affected homes following the approval of the legislation in July and on delivering social housing across the county. Minister McConlogue says there are many still seeking answers and clarity on redress. He believes, however, there is room to advance more applications from Mica homeowners.
Many families who are awaiting clarity in relation to their applications. A number of those, unfortunately, which are affected by pyrotite, are awaiting further scientific and engineering advice. But it's my strong belief that there's a significant number of applications which you can make real progress on with the right cooperation between the County Council and the Department, get answers on and clarity on in the short term so that they actually can get approvals. That's going to be the key objective of the meeting today, to discuss how the County Council, working with the Department, can ensure that we make progress on those applications which are outstanding.
There are fears someone could be seriously injured unless safety measures are rolled out on a main route in Inishowen. Councillor Rena Donohoe says residents in the Tubin area of Burnfoot are living in fear due to the volume of traffic travelling on the road from Derry to Buncrana. She's calling for traffic calming measures to be put in place.
A number of residents in the Tubin area of Burnfoot, they have been saying that the problem there is that they find it very difficult to get across the road to the shop there. It's a very, very busy road. It's also actually a regional road. It's a very wide road at that particular part where the shop is. And with the bus stop there and people trying to get across from the bus as well, I have asked that the engineer would look at some kind of a safety measure to be put in place there.
The Glenties area councillor says more must be done to counter illegal dumping in West Donegal. Councillor John Hamish O'Farry says as part of that process, better recycling facilities must be provided, particularly in Gweedore and Fulcara. He says a number of illegal dumps have been detected in recent weeks, including one in an area where a previous dump was cleared just 3 years ago. Councillor O'Farrell believes tougher sanctions need to be imposed.
I keep emphasising that we have to get far more tougher with illegal dumpers in relation to fines and stuff like that. I think the fines are too lenient. If somebody's caught illegal dumping, that there should be a €5,000 or €10,000 fine. It has to stop, and that's money that we could have spent on other projects in the Glenties Municipal District.
With an eye mostly cloudy today with some sunny breaks and the chance of a few isolated light showers. Highest temperatures of 15 to 17 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with an update again at 11 o'clock. Until then, good morning. The obituary notice says for this Monday morning, September the 19th. The death has occurred of John Joe McElwee, Durgan, Port Salon. John's remains are reposing at his late residence. Family time from 11 p.m. to 10 a.m. Rosary tonight at 9 o'clock. Funeral tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock in St Columba's Church, Massmount. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. And the death has occurred of William Gallagher, 1 Willow Park at Letterkenny and Kerrykeel. His remains are reposing at his late residence. Requiem Mass in the Church of the Irish Martyrs, Letterkenny, at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, followed by interment in Milford Cemetery. The Requiem Mass can be viewed on Church of the Irish Martyrs Facebook page. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
At Irish Life, we've been helping people make smart investments with their nest egg for over 80 years. For actual trusted advice, search irishlife.ie or contact your financial broker or advisor. We know Irish Life. We are Irish Life. Irish Life Financial Services is tied to Irish Life Assurance for life and pension products. Irish Life Assurance plc is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Irish Life Financial Services Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Okay, thanks for all your messages today. Where are all the so-called Republican councillors today when the flag is being flown at half-mast to commemorate a monarch whose troops are occupying part of this nation? There have been a few of them quite vocal. Another 85% of the money lifted on a packet of cigarettes goes to the government between tax and levies. Where does all this money go? That money is supposed to go to the HSE, but it obviously isn't happening. Every year in the budget, there's a rise in the cost of cigarettes. The HSE needs to be disbanded. I'm not quite sure that tax raised from cigarettes is ring-fenced for spending on health services. I don't think that's the way this government operates. It goes into general taxation, though, and perhaps some would argue it could be directed in that way. Thank you, Luke, for the practical insight as to how things are. The dedication of our students is inspiring, but so difficult for them, indeed. Good morning, Greg. Any students who the government paid for should be staying in Ireland for a minimum of 3 years. They say they want to help the sick, yet all they really want is the money. Well, did you listen to Luke's testimony there? Did it change your views in any way, shape or form? Let me know if it did or not. As part of the training, student nurses should be employed for at least 2 years before they can leave. Pay back for their training, same as doctors, believes this caller. But again, Luke says that most of the expense is coming out of his pocket. So I don't know. As I say, have you listened to Luke, or did you listen to Luke, and did it change your opinion? Do we always fly our flag at half-mast when a world head of state dies? I don't know. I don't think so. I can't recall it ever happening. I would wonder who might have to die in this country, for example, in the Republic of Ireland, for flags to be flown at half-mast across all public buildings in Britain. I don't think it's an equal relationship. I don't think that would happen. Would it happen? Maybe there is precedence. I don't know. I mean, we are our own country here. They're their own country there. We shouldn't do anything, I don't think, that they wouldn't do for us. This has got nothing to do with the royal family or anything, but I mean, why it's almost subservient. Why would we do it if they wouldn't do it for us? And you know they wouldn't. And even if it was called for, how well would it be observed? I don't know. But maybe there is a precedent where it has happened. But I don't think, we are equal. As far as I see it, we are an equal nation, and I don't think we should be subservient. But if there is an agreement where it would happen in the other direction, well then, perhaps so be it then. So, but if the head of, or if Ireland's president or its leader were to pass, in their 90s, would British flags be flown at half-mast in Britain? I don't think so. But it's not. It's whatever people want themselves. Nice to hear an Irish person on who was in the queue for the Queen. The bitterness in general in Donegal about the Queen dying shows ignorance and a complete lack of acceptance of the fact that many Irish love the royals, but we will not admit it. Such is the twisted state of this country. Just as in applauding the defacing of road signs, Councillor Colin McGill-Nasbeg is in the minority on flying our flag at half-mast. Minorities have rights in this country, but don't get to totally dictate what happens in a democracy. I think that presumes the majority of people are happy for flags to be flown at half-mast here. I don't know what the breakdown would be in terms of people who would be for and against that. Right, okay. I was phoning social welfare and you cannot get through to anyone in Letterkenny. It diverts to a call centre down the country. Can't get through to speak to anyone, and the call centre then sends an email to the Letterkenny office to get in contact with them. Wow. That's bureaucracy, I think. If you looked up bureaucracy, there it is. If someone is in dire need of help, it could be weeks before they get any. Gone are the days of just calling the office. Okay. Greg, I can't believe you didn't anticipate the outpouring of grief there should be for Her Majesty the Queen. She reigned for over 70 years, and I do feel the King will be supported greatly. Well, listen, like, I can only go by what I read and see and listen to people. I thought the monarchy, particularly with the the likes of the Prince Andrew scandal. Let's not forget, obviously, that the royal family had to play really quite handsomely for him not to have to stand trial for really, really quite serious and that was crimes. That was only allegations. That was only last year. Obviously, then there's the constant huff and puff about the Charles's sons and all that kind of stuff. I just didn't think that, hundreds of thousands of people would queue for 14, 15, 16, 20 hours in some cases to file past. I just didn't anticipate it. So it doesn't mean I was right or wrong. I have some strong opinions. I just didn't think so. I thought people were sort of, their attitude was changing towards the royal family. But I do anticipate that things are going to change really quite drastically. As I say, the knives will be out once the dust has settled after Queen Elizabeth's funeral. The knives will be out for the royal family and members of it. Can you get a spokesperson from the council? As many staff in the council buildings are deeply humiliated by the national flag flying at half-mast. Colleagues have died with minimal acknowledgement by senior management of their service to the council. What the council will just say, we got a notice from the government and we did this, that and the on. I'm not sure there's any point contacting them any further. After driving past the Garda barracks, asked the guard, and he said the flag was at half-mast for the Queen's funeral. The amount of pain the Queen brought to Ireland, and now we are flying the flag at half-mast. If our head of state died, not a hope would the flag be flown half-mast in England. Good morning, Greg. No flag should be flown at half-mast for the not our Queen, as they say. Who do these people think they are? Could you talk about Ukrainian refugees being allowed to drink with food vouchers? We can do. I wasn't aware that they were given food vouchers. And I don't know how widespread what you say is, but anyway. Yes, flags should be flown half-mast. In respect, I spent a good few years in London and still holiday there. Watched as much as I could on TV. Let's get on with each other, says Mary. Well, yeah, but you know what people are going to say, Mary, how we could maybe really start improving relationships and getting on, and you don't have to go too far from here to see that some people believe a situation there should change. If you're transferring a pub licence from one county to another, you have to buy two. If it's going outside your area, you have to buy two to bring it to another town. Really? Fascinating. Okay, never knew. Greg, my ESB bill, and this is serious stuff here, by the way. So my ESB bill is €211 this month. I get a €250 pension. When my bill is taken out this week, I've got €49 to feed, heat and put fuel in the car and heat the house. Wow. I mean, that's pretty much all of their money gone on an ESB bill. In relation to the ESB, small business owner in Downing suffering massively with price increases, particularly electricity. This is all on the back of major outages at peak periods of the season. Indeed, actually, I was in the area for those and I know exactly what you're talking about. Easter Saturday and Sunday, for example, power cut at 7 p.m. each evening for several hours, resulting in thousands of euro in lost revenue. Unhappy customers, bad reviews, people's holidays ruined, damage to equipment, and no contact made from electricity supplier with regards compensation. Absolutely disgusting. So there you have it. I mean, that's a situation there where someone is trying to stay in business, facing huge costs, but it's a one-way contract, it seems, because they lost lots of money during the summer because of outages and no compensation or even a phone call for them. It's completely unfair, and as they say, they feel it is completely disgusting.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Monday, the 19th of September. You're playing on the green sheet. The reference number is S6. It's game number 38. The numbers are 4, 17, 70, 21, 90, 64, 60, 44, 75, and finally 78. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI Bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Tourism businesses have a brand new mark of employer excellence, driven by the employee's voice. The Employer Excellence Programme recognises employers who consistently create better workplaces for their employees. Attract and retain top talent. Shine the spotlight on your business. The Employer Excellence Programme. Learn more at fultoireland.ie.
What matters most? A good night's sleep? Kitchen quality time? A clean house? Dinner time tradition? Or putting your feet up after a long day? What matters most? A happy home. Home store and more. A happy home.
Charlie McClafferty Funeral Directors, serving Letterkenny and the surrounding areas for over 100 years. Charlie McClafferty Funeral Directors. Let our family take care of your family and guide you through a difficult time.
The Aer Lingus takeoff sale is now on. We've taken money off fares across Europe, with flights from $29.99 one way, including taxes and charges. So you can take off to the bistros and boulevards of Paris, take off to some late season sun in Lanzarote, or take off to roam around Rome. Take off with Aer Lingus. Book now at aerlingus.com. Offer subject to conditions and availability. Travel between October 1st, 2022 and February 15th, 2023.
We wish you a...
It may be too early for Christmas carols, but it's never too early to start the Christmas shopping. Save hundreds, possibly thousands of euros shopping online with Space Hub Derry. We provide a full virtual address mailbox service for all your Christmas parcels and post. Save hundreds, possibly thousands on customs charges this Christmas with Space Hub Derry. Call 04871 878077 for more details.
For great food in the heart of Letterkenny's Cathedral Quarter, step into Dillon's Hotel. Using only the best local produce, Dillon's serve an extensive menu every day from 12. Perfect for a quick bite, a relaxed lunch or a leisurely dinner. Try the renowned 4-course Sunday lunch with full table service. Or if you work in town, why not pre-order and have your lunch waiting. Great food and service, 7 days a week at Dillon's Hotel Letterkenny, with live music every Friday and Saturday night. Visit dillons-hotel.ie.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. We're joined on it now by Ellen Doherty, who is a Mica homeowner. Good morning, Ellen. Thanks for taking the call today.
Thank you, Greg.
Right. Talk to us about what happened at your house, Ellen.
Not Saturday night past, but a week before, we had a storm, and a very bad one. And where my home is positioned, we get an awful lot of wind. And it blew down my fence and my wall into my backyard. Now, I consulted my insurance, and they said they didn't cover for rain. And I was at my wit's end. My house has mica as well, and my chimney, I'm waiting on it to come and tap me and kill me some night. But the backyard, I haven't got anyone to fix that wall. No one.
Now, how big is this wall?
Oh God, honest to God, I couldn't tell you.
Like, but it's not a little. It's a significant retaining wall, isn't it?
Well, it was built with 9-inch blocks on a flat.
I see that now. I see some images of it here, indeed. Yeah.
And I was lucky in one sense. As you can, I don't know if Paddy sent all the photos on to you, but I was lucky in one sense that one of the coping stones broke and skited off my oil tank. What I mean by that, it skited off it and scraped it. It didn't dent it or it didn't break it, thank God. Because we could have had a very serious environmental health problem on our hands.
So, in relation to just this wall, do you think defective blocks contributed to its falling, or was this caused by rain? It could have happened to any wall, but the insurance company is not going to assist you because they say your home's affected by mica. If that makes sense, Ellen.
Yeah. No. Actually, I have a fair idea that when we built this house, that road was a stone road, and we never had no bother with rain. Because the rain soaked down into the ground. And then my husband put a little bit of tarmac, but he put a gully, like he shaped a gully so that the rain would go around the corner and down the line, But whoever done the last tarmacking put it up against our fence. And the rain broke through the tarmac cadam, and thereby it went in behind my wall. Now, it wasn't doing that. I'm not sure how long ago that was, Greg. But the point I'm saying is whoever tarred that...
Yeah, you're saying that what happens is something that happened outside of your property may have redirected water or put pressure on this bank, and that could have actually triggered this collapse. Is that your sort of concern there, Ellen?
Yeah. But my bigger concern is nobody will give me a loan.
Yeah.
I'm 66 years of age, and I have no hope of getting a loan to pay for that. And my insurance won't pay for it.
But what I don't understand is that your insurance company are citing the fact that you have mica in your property. Did they come out and inspect it? And I mean, they have inspectors. They should... if you have house insurance, I can't see how they refuse to pay out because your main building has mica without actually finding out how... stay where you are, because Professor Paul Dunlop's with us as well, and we're going to be talking about something else, Paul. But hello, Paul.
Hello.
Yeah, Professor, it's Greg here. Are you listening to Ellen there? Have you been able to listen to what she has to say?
Yeah, I heard what she said.
It's a peculiar situation, and Ellen, stay with us because we're going to talk to you about something else, Professor. But Paul, I know you're across all of this stuff. I mean, the insurance company should at least come out, inspect this wall, determine if mica was a factor rather than just refusing to pay out. It doesn't make much sense to me. Does it you?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure of the circumstances of it, to be honest, but you would think that, things can be built at different periods of time. So, the house could be built at one point in time, the walls could be built at a different point in time, and they may be actually unconnected issues. And they make a blank assessment on someone's wall based on what an engineer has said about their homeowner IS 465 is totally spurious. So, really what they should be doing is a responsible insurer go out and look at our home and inspect it and get an independent assessment on it. That would be my feeling on it.
Yeah, Ellen, have they been out to you?
Who?
The insurers, have they been out to you?
No, he took it on spec, and because he was out, and he said 2.5 years ago. Well, I found my husband dead in December 2019 in the house. And I wasn't myself. And last year, so he definitely wasn't out last year because I was in Galway Hospital with COVID. I nearly died.
God, you've been through it, Ellen. Okay, listen. We'll.
But the thing about it is, I remember him being out, and he said we don't cover for rain. He was very emphatic about that.
Okay. Right, okay, Ellen, I think the insurance element of that is a complicated one. I did have a landslide myself, and I claimed based on the fact that it had encroached over a drain. So I don't know if that's something worth pursuing. It wasn't actually the wall itself. It was returning the drain to its former status that they paid out on. But more to the wider point here as well about you fearful in your home, and it's clear that you are, it sounds like you're sitting in the house waiting on this chimney to come down on top of you, effectively.
Yeah. I would honest to God like a chimney taken down a bit.
Yeah.
You know, I don't mean taken down so far that it won't fall on top of me. Just the bit that sticks up in the air. I mean, that's very, very heavy.
Yeah. And of course, every time
the tiles don't stand a chance if that comes on top of them.
Yeah. And of course, obviously, then any time there's bad weather forecast, that just makes it even worse for you.
No sleep. I simply don't sleep. I cry myself and pray to God the whole time that the chimney doesn't come in and tap me.
It's no way to live your life, that, Alan. With everything you've been through, but with the loss of your husband and the trauma of that, you being hospitalised with COVID, and now not able to sleep and crying yourself to sleep, Ellen. You know, I mean...
if there's one... Sorry, Greg.
I'm just sorry
Hello?
that you... sorry, Ellen. I'm just sorry for everything you're going through. I'm just beside myself here. You shouldn't have to live your life like that.
It's a very big worry. A very big worry.
Do you light a fire? Do you light a fire, Alan, in the house?
Not now. I'm
Right.
too scared.
So really,
because I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. Because the smoke goes all over the house.
I get you. So if somehow the chimney was taken down level with the ridge tile, would you be able to sleep a bit better at night?
I would.
Right,
At
okay.
least I would have no fear of it coming in and tapping me.
Well, if
But
anyone's
I would
out
need-
there that would want to, I don't know, Alan, if you'd want to speak to someone who might be prepared to do that for you. I don't know if there's someone listening, maybe, but I mean, we don't want you crying yourself to sleep all winter either. At the same time, something has to be done here, Alan.
I mean, I would love if somebody would do that, but I'm a widow woman on a pension. Who would give me the money to pay them?
Well-
You know, who would give me a loan to pay them to do that?
Okay. Well, listen, we'll leave it with us. I don't know if someone will hear what you're saying, Alan. But it's as I said, we have to do something because you can't continue through winter feeling like that with everything you've already been through, Alan. Okay. We'll make.
Look,
Yeah, go ahead.
I do remember us lighting a fire and sitting on here over Christmas with the Christmas lights on, Christmas tree, you know, and it was lovely. But it won't be like that this year.
No, Alan, it won't.
Or any other year until I get my house sorted.
Okay. Okay, Alan, listen, we'll be in touch. Thanks for speaking to us. I'm sorry about everything you've been through and continue to go through. At this stage now, life should be very different for you. So I'm really so sorry that you're having to live your life like this, Alan.
All right. right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Greg.
Ellen.
Thank
All right.
you.
Okay. I feel helpless altogether. But Professor Paul Dunlop, Ellen's story is a reality, isn't it? That many people have. It affects people in different ways. But there's a lady, who's lost her husband, has had her own health issues with COVID, and living in fear. I know that's not specifically what we brought you on to talk about, Paul, but I know you're fully across everything everyone's going through as well.
I was just listening to Ellen there, and I just kept thinking to myself, like, how many families in Donegal and other parts of Ireland too, Mayo and County Clare, etc., are sitting feeling the same and living with the trauma of having to stay in a defective home while we wait for a very, very large delay for this new enhanced scheme to come out. We all heard about this small concession that they gave of allowing people, I can't remember the date, is it 4,000 or 5,000 euro to do emergency repairs, yet not one of those families can avail of it yet. And Ellen was sort of saying, like, well, who's going to lend me money? I'm an old age pensioner. But, that was set up specifically to allow people to do those types of works, but no one can access them.
I know, and it's talked about as if it's an amazing achievement, and look what we've done, and this will make a real difference, and it's all BS. It doesn't come to pass. It's absolutely and what, there's nothing you can do. You can call it out. I can call it out. You've just called it out, Paul. But other than that, the wheels just keep on turning. Nothing changes. Yeah. But people have to live this nightmare.
Yeah, another thing too, like we forget this because we're living in it. We discuss about this all the time. But sometimes if you put the brakes on your thought process and go, hold on a minute, this shouldn't have happened in the first place. Not one person who's living in a defective home should be living with this issue. Most people should be getting on with worrying about the other things in life, like getting their kids to school and going to university and getting to work and maybe saving for a holiday. And now, particularly at the minute, trying to save money for this cost of living crisis.
And Ellen should be able to get on with probably grieving.
Exactly. Exactly. And I, myself and all campaigners have consistently said, that there will be people who can get themselves out of this, but what about old age pensioners? The banks are not going to lend them money. So where are they going to get the shortfall? And you saw the news last week from the SASI putting out their rates for what's going to cost to build a 3-bedroom semi-detached home in Donegal, which went up through the roof.
But that's not reflected in the scheme as such.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not. And the SASI clarified that those rates are nothing to do with the defective homes. That'll come out at a later date, which is going to be less. The grant that you get is going to be less. So I just keep thinking, like, I don't see an end to this.
Well,
I listened earlier on to the news. Yeah. You've got Charlie McConlogue and the Fianna Fáil, people like Niall Blaney, Senator Niall Blaney, who were at the legislative process watching this bill go through the door and voted down every single amendment that would make this bill fair.
Well, actually,
it'll be interesting to see what they say at the meeting today.
Senator Blaney actually argued that foundations are probably okay. If my memory serves me, serves me correctly. It's his point of view, and I'm sure it stands by it. But that's what we were at. I think the reality is Paul, the scheme as it stands now, with inflationary pressures and what have you, is a much worse scheme than the 1910 scheme, which was never a 1910 scheme. You'd have to ask yourself: is this current scheme now, with inflation and what have you, a 50-50 scheme?
Like everybody else, Greg, we're waiting for the details. We'll not know what it's going to be until the SCSI do their calculations in February or March or whatever that is.
Well, that's
going to be the critical point, because then you're going to be able to go look and go, this is what I'll get for my home, and then this is the actual shortfall, and then you'll hear the gnashing of teeth, I guess, because I just can't see how this is ever going to be 100%, regardless of what Darrell O'Brien and other politicians and the Doyle have said.
Now, there's a few strands to what's going on at the moment. Obviously, there is the ongoing issue with trying to get access to this redress scheme. There's stuff going on in Europe to try and ensure this never happens again, and other work to try and better understand where we're at and where we might be. And it's that, I think, really, we're going to talk about now as a geographer professor at Ulster University. Talk to us about this groundbreaking study into defective blocks and materials in Donegal. What's happening, Paul?
Yeah, well, Ulster University provided some funding to do what we would call as a pilot study, where you take samples from homes from a small sort of small sample of homes to try and find out what's actually happening. So I teamed up with Andreas Lehmann from EMPA in Switzerland. Many people would know Andreas because he gave evidence at the Oireachtas committee along with me during the pre-legislative scrutiny day, and he's also presented at the European Parliament with us back in March. That was a thing that we streamed live to people. And also Nick Scaglione, who's over in the States as well too. So we sampled outer leaves and also inner leaves from 4 homes in Donegal, and we were able to step outside the NSAI's IS-465 protocol and basically target concrete the way we wanted to do and have a fresh look at it. So we sampled homes that were showing various signs of distress, from minor cracking to complete disintegration, and we sampled concrete from the worst affected areas of the walls and also the in between the bits that were fully solid. And what Andreas has been able to do in Switzerland that no one else has done to date, what we can see here from different petrographic tests that are coming back from the border reports, is use a technique using the scanning electron microscope and another thing called EDS, which looks at basically the atomic structure of what's going on inside the cement. And he has unequivocally been able to demonstrate that pyrrhotite is present, that pyrrhotite is oxidizing, that the pyrrhotite is releasing sulfur, and that is the problem with all these iron sulfide minerals. Once sulfur is being released at high enough quantities, it'll form sulfuric acid. And what Andreas has been able to show in this pilot study is that the cement hydrate, which is basically the glue of the concrete that's keeping everything together, is actually being replaced by sulfate minerals, particularly a mineral called thomsite, which is a salt that can swell. And once you get that process happening in concrete, the thomsite basically replaces the cement hydrates, so you don't have any glue to keep the thing together again anymore, and then the cement, the concrete just disintegrates.
And that's where we get that appearance of Weetabix dust, really, effectively, because the glue that binds it is gone.
Well, basically, we've all, people in Donegal particularly, I suppose, are very familiar with lots of the videos that went out during this campaign. You would have saw people like Paddy Diver and other people from Make Action Group crushing concrete in their hands. This process explains that phenomenon, because basically what you've got, the glue is gone.
So can I just ask a question, Paul, as much as, and we'll get on to that important point if you like, just so I understand. So in the manufacturing process, what was done or what was not done that has led to a block being in this condition?
Well, I'm not privy to what happened internally in these construction plants, but I do know that there are European standards and Irish standards that are in place for quite a long time to allow manufacturers to test for the presence of these defective minerals. Mm-hmm. So, for example, EN 12620 was translated by the NSAI into their standard called SR16. And in that standard, it says that basically if pyrrhotite is present, then you have special precautions. You're not allowed to have more than 0.1% sulfur being released into the concrete. Now, that's easily measurable using laboratory tests. So that's a question that you need to put back to all the people who...
Yeah, but really that motivation for it, in other words, when these blocks were being manufactured, there were rules and regulations in place that should have prevented this happening, really, is what I'm saying. This is not new information that someone could say, well, look, we didn't know that this all could happen back when these blocks were being made. What I'm saying is that this is still covered by the rules and regulations and the criteria that, if followed, this should never have happened.
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah, I mean, you've got those standards, and the standards are there for industry to follow.
Yes.
I mean, the problem, as we see, is that it seems to be no one's following up. Mm-hmm. That we know of anyway. There seems to be no authority at government level going and going into quarries and testing them and testing products or testing batches. But I mean, again, I don't know what happens internally in these businesses. Okay. I'm not privy to that.
How important is it that this is widened out? This will capture the attention of even more members of the academic community. How important is this that this is, and this will be watched on an international level and people will be drawn into this issue and this conversation. How important is that, do you see, Paul?
I think it's extremely important. If you think of what's the journey that's happened here in Ireland, coming from the special government report leading up until 2017, when that was published and that they confirmed it, like Mica was the issue, but actually they recommended more research would be needed. And there was a real hiatus where nothing's happening. These reports are coming back from Petrolabs and all companies like that, and then there's a denial in government that there's an issue. So we think, as an academic, it's really important to get international eyes looking at this. And also, what's really excellent about involving other international scientists is that you can bring international best practice to the table. So one example would be bringing Andreas Lehmann on board. EMPA's labs have got access to research facilities that no one else has in Ireland. And Andreas's work has been able to clearly identify the issue of iron sulfate attack and the cement paste. And that hasn't been done to date, and it wouldn't have been done in Ireland. It just wouldn't have been. So we're absolutely committed to broadening this really massive societal issue out into the wider academic community. And Andreas is presenting a paper at the International Conference on the Chemistry of Construction Materials in Karlsruhe in Germany on the 28th, later next week. And we're presenting that results to there'll be people there who are all working on the chemistry of concrete and chemistry of aggregates. And for us, we're happy to have our science openly scrutinized by other science and being challenged. Because the important thing for us is that what we're saying needs to be robust. It needs to be challenged, and we're happy to do that as academics. Because what we're really interested in doing is getting to the nubbin of this problem. And in terms of also sharing, we are bringing this international team of scientists to Donegal on the 15th of November. So there's a joint international conference that's being hosted by ATU. It's a joint research initiative by Ulster University and ATU. And all of those speakers, if you remember back in March, Andreas Lehmann, people from Laval University in Quebec, University of Connecticut, they're all coming to ATU on the 15th of November. And we're going to have a chance for homeowners and engineers, government officials, people like Charlie McConlogue and Niall Blaney, who are talking today at the council. They can all come to ATU on the 15th, and they can meet these people firsthand and learn what's happening internationally. This is a very, very big issue. It's not just Ireland. We have pyrite and iron sulfide attack in all those countries.
And I think people who thinks this doesn't affect them, I think anyone who's thinking of building a wall, an extension or a house or a shed, not just now but into the future, should be keeping an eye on this as well. Because, this is not, we can't be sure that this is something that happened in the past. It's not happening now and won't happen into the future, because there is some concern still about the level of oversight and regulation and implementation and what have you. So this affects even people that don't think it affects. It does affect them.
That's a very critical point. I think one of the real valuable insights that everyone got at the day of the sort of what they call it wasn't really pre-legislative scrutiny, but the one day that it was given the review and talk to the officials and find out what was going on about the lack of oversight of what's happening. And critical questions were asked, right across that whole those committee, from the housing people, Department of Housing, Housing Agency, engineers. We even had people on who were claiming that they knew that there were side deals going on by quarries at the minute, going to homeowners and trying to giving them sort of hush deals to keep them quiet because their homes were made of defective concrete. And not one quarry or operator so far that has been selling defective concrete into the market has been shut down. So, you talking about building concrete block house in Ireland, I'd be absolutely terrified.
Yeah, and also too, so much of this could have been teased out through a proper pre-legislative scrutiny process that could have actually really be beneficial to the state as a whole, not just to current homeowners and to the scheme itself. And yet it was suppressed and just the bare minimum was permitted. And, looking around at those that were there to hear it. Regular people, they're elected politicians, they're on the housing committee, but it's, that's bad. Is that really happening? And then that's it. Just crack on with the scheme anyway. It was a real lost opportunity, I think, for this country to do something really, really important in terms of the building industry.
Yeah, their jobs in the Dáil is to protect citizens and they look after citizens.
I mean, the chair at one point was like, is this happening in Derry and as well? Is this a problem in Northern Ireland? I mean, if that's your starting point, no disrespect to him, but if that is your starting point and you're on the housing committee and you're listening to this testimony from national and international experts and your input is this happening? Like, in other words, if a concrete block couldn't cross an imaginary border, for an example, it is there's merit to that question in terms of regulation and how it's enforced and what have you. But it was just, at that point, those are the type of things I think people on a housing committee should already know. That's just one example, Paul. And I was thinking, right, okay, at that point, I think the eyes fell out the back of my head completely.
Well, I think everyone got an eye opener that day. Like we were actually, as you know, we were given evidence on the pyrite issue, and you could just sort of see how that went through and was just ignored. I mean, there were, like, I think a lot of genuine people who were really interested in trying to get the legislation right. And a lot of the TDs there who worked very hard to try and make sure that amendments would be taken seriously and taken on board. And what was the purpose of that? The purpose of that was to protect the Irish citizens and get the scheme right, and ultimately to protect the Irish Exchequer, because if this scheme is wrong, it's going to make mistakes, and we're going to be back at the table again. But anyway, every single 80 amendment was rammed through by the people in power. You could see that. I mean, moving on, our research group is really committed to try and understand what's going on in Ireland. This is probably not widely known at the moment, but the Geological Survey of Ireland have a Irish Construction Materials concrete product research sort of area. And what the Geological Survey of Ireland is that they use that remit to advise government bodies like the NSAI and what's happening with concrete. And they had a research call out around the springtime. Now, ourselves, also university, EMPA, Laval University, University of Connecticut, and Excaglio's company, we applied to be accepted onto that research project, and we found out a few weeks ago that we were successful. So our small pilot study that we talked about that Ulster University has funded has now got will get significant funding to actually look at this pyrite issue in real detail and get to the bottom of it. Wow. So we submitted a research proposal. So this is going back to your question about why do we need to get international people. We now have a group of some of the top international scientists who deal with iron sulfides, pyrite, internal sulfate attack, now being funded by Geological Survey of Ireland's concrete products research area. They look at this in detail. So within a year, we're going to have a really good, robust set of data from people who are independent. None of us are connected to any government body. We're independent university systems outside of Ireland. We're not funded by anybody who's in industry in Ireland. So I think we've got a really good chance to submit some really excellent research on this pyrite issue, using these are the cutting edge techniques that have been developed in university laboratories. They're widely regarded as best in the world. So I think that's been one of the real sort of wins here for us as academics, and the reason why we reach out to international. So that study should be starting imminently.
And listen, their attention isn't grabbed in this way unless there's something very significant there and a learning curve to be had. Paul, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it greatly.
Yeah, no problem at all. And hopefully we'll see people down at Letterkenny on the 15th of November. Do come down. We'll be putting out a press release so people can see the detail.
I was going to say, we'll be talking about that
as a stand. For people to come.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that in a standalone way, and I'm sure at that point people like those that you mentioned will be asked will they attend, and if not, why not? There's plenty of notice there now. So that date one more time?
It's on 15th of November at ATU down in Letterkenny.
Right, that's 2 months away, so I don't know whose diary would be full on that day. Okay, listen, thanks very much. Appreciate it. That is Professor Paul Dunlop there. By the way, calls are coming in from our brilliant listeners out there to help Ellen. Another homeowner affected by Mica has pledged €300. But we've also got tradespersons who are offering free labour and 2 others offering to help in any way they can. And we'll be passing all of these details on to Ellen at the end of the show. So you good people out there heard Ellen. She's determined herself that if the chimney was taken down to sort of ridge tile height, I think, the high part of the chimney was taken off. She's not using the fire now, that she might be able to not cry herself to sleep at night with everything that poor lady has been through and continues to go through. And you could just hear the emotion as she reflected on sitting with her husband in front of that fire with the Christmas lights on, those beautiful happy memories that she knows she might not have again. We can't return those, but maybe we can return a little bit of peace to her in terms of her fears of this chimney collapsing on her.
The 9 till noon show with St Eunan's GA Club Development Draw. €40,000 in prizes. First prize, a Hyundai Kona car, plus 9 other great prizes. Tickets now available online at steunans.gadraw.com or any club member.
Want unbeatable value from Sky? Here's the deal. Get Sky Broadband for just €29 a month, plus Sky Q for only €10 a month. Super fast, super reliable broadband. And Sky Q with your apps and recordings. That's Sky Broadband for €29 a month, plus Sky Q for €10 a month for 12 months. Now that is unbeatable value. Go to sky.ie. Availability subject to location. Offer does not include Sky TV subscription. New Sky customers only. Setup fees, minimum term and further terms apply. For more info, see sky.ie/speeds.
There's bingo every Monday night at Halfway House Bingo Burnfoot. Doors open at 7:30 with eyes down at 8:30. €2,500 must go. The snowball is now €6,300 on 45 numbers or less. If you're not in, you can't win. That's Halfway House Bingo tonight at 8:30.
Patterson's The Hall Lifford, one of Ireland's largest kitchen and interior showrooms. Open Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Kitchens, beds, mattresses and furniture all under one roof. 50% off our ex-display kitchens. Everything you need to make a house a home. At Patterson's Kitchens and Interiors, The Hall Lifford.
Book a private VIP screening at Century Cinemas. Perfect for celebrating birthdays and special occasions. Featuring a private VIP screening with luxury reclining seating, delicious popcorn and a brilliant choice of movies. For further information on our VIP packages, call Century Complex Letterkenny on 07491 21976 or visit centurycinemas.ie.
An important timetable update from TFI Local Link Donegal, Sligo, Leitrim, route 953 Moville to Letterkenny. Great news from Monday, September 19th. TFI Local Link route 953 Moville to Letterkenny will be extended to Greencastle and will now service locations including Kildaff, Glenealy, Greencastle and Bridgend. Operating up to 3 times per day, 7 days a week. The enhanced route will now provide a new peak time service for students and commuters into Letterkenny, arriving for both 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. and returning at 5 p.m, as well as improved connectivity to regional bus services for onward travel. For timetables, fares and all route information, see locallinkdsl.ie or call our office on 074 9741 644. TFI Local Link, part of the Transport for Ireland network.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Now, as many of you out there would know, students and teachers have expressed concerns that the release date for the junior certificate results is still to be confirmed by the State Examinations Commission. The Commission has said the processing of the junior cert results is ongoing, with marking complete in most subjects. However, it did not give a date for completion, stating that every effort will be made by the SEC to issue these results as soon as is possible. Laura Nielsen is JCP coordinator and English teacher in St Columba's Stranraer and joins us on the programme now. Thanks for your time this morning, Laura.
Thank you for having me, Greg.
Right, so can you talk to me as to why it's important that students and teachers, presumably, get these results as soon as possible? Like, what is it holding up, or why would it leave a student feeling deflated, for example?
Well, I think, Greg, because, they've put so much time and effort, you see, how much stress and pressure they're under at such a young age. And, they're now in TY or 5th year. And, they're still waiting on these results. And I think by the time they are issued, which is looking, at this stage, close to Christmas maybe, or even after Christmas, like the value and the amount of effort that went into those exams is gone, really.
Yeah, their work is devalued, obviously, because it seems unimportant.
Absolutely. And, I know from teaching from my own third years, and I also did the superintendent work during the summer as well for the junior cycle. And, just seeing them on the morning of the exam, how much, it meant to them. And, this is 3 years of their, 3 years of, blood, sweat and tears, really, and you can see how much pressure they're under. And, I suppose our junior certs this year, they've had it, a lot tougher, I think, too, because of COVID and, the pressure of homeschooling. It just didn't, it just didn't suit a lot of them. And then for, to be told that, their results don't matter enough, they don't even have a date, for when they're going to be issued.
And it might be, is it slightly different for those going into transition year versus fifth year? Like, are these results important maybe for those going straight into fifth in terms of course selection, or is that not maybe as big an issue?
It's probably not as big an issue now. I think, the junior cycle now, Greg, has changed. The only subjects where they do honours or, ordinary level are Irish, English and maths. Everything else is now a common level, So they're not under any pressure really to pick levels or anything going into fifth year. They know themselves, But I suppose in a way, they want their results, they want to know, what they did the best and, picking subjects going forward into their leaving cert. Absolutely.
And psychologically, it's like unfinished business, isn't it? I mean, are they able to start enjoying the transition year or their fifth year when really their last year's it's not done and dusted yet, or it must feel like it's not?
Absolutely. And, it's not just a piece of paper for them anymore. The junior cycle has changed now, and what they get at the end of it is it's a junior cycle profile of achievement. And it's not just about their grades, on that piece of paper, they now have what we call other areas of learning, so maybe if they weren't, academic, but they have been amazing on the sports pitch, or they got involved in loads of extra curricular things. That's all on this piece of paper now. And like, it is a sense of achievement. It doesn't matter, it's not just about the grades anymore. It's about everything that they've got involved in during their 3 years. And like, that's been taken away from them. And again, we don't know when these results are going to come out.
Yeah, and of course, too, there's another cohort, early school leavers, who would need this to sort of decide their next path or to enter an apprenticeship, so they're being held up as well. And I think a date in and of itself would show a little bit of respect, I think, or a little bit of a target. This Open ended soon. It's like we're two screaming children in the back of the car, Laura, and we're just being told soon by Mummy, education minister in the front. Do you know what I mean? Just give us a date. We can deal with it then.
Absolutely. I think it is. I think it's ridiculous now. And I think even if we had some sort of concrete date, at least we could tell the students, your work was valued enough that they have given us a date. It's going to be complete, because at the minute they are deflated. And, I've heard them saying, what was the point of putting in so much time, so much effort when we don't even know when these results are coming out,
Yeah, finally, Laura, our young people have been brilliant, haven't they? In the most challenging time, as you and the rest of your teaching colleagues have. I mean, it was a bloody nightmare, a lot of it, between the homeschooling and trying to get work together, and then all the rules within the building, and then the windows open, and then I mean, it's been a tough couple of years for students and teachers, but particularly students, hasn't it?
Oh, it definitely has. But like Greg, from my own experience too, they have been absolutely super. And, I feel like, young people are very astute anyway, but they have been absolutely superb. And, the homeschooling wasn't easy for anybody. And, there was a lot of stress, there was a lot of pressure. And I think that they have been remarkable, and we just need to have some sort of date for them to know that they're valued.
A wee bit of respect for them too as
Absolutely.
well, and for the teachers. All right, lovely to see you. Lovely to have you on the show. Thanks so much. Keep up the great work.
Thanks very much.
All right, bye-bye.
So
Laura
Greg.
Nielsen there. Bye-bye. Laura Nielsen, JCP coordinator and English teacher in St. Columba's of Stranraer. Your young ones affected by it? How is it affecting them? 08660 25,000. WhatsApps and texts to that number. Or give us a call on 074 91 25000, 074 91 25000. Let me see here. I have some of your calls and comments, lots of them actually. Yeah, it's busy for Monday too. I don't know why I'd be surprised. I'm here every Monday, but I'm always surprised when it's so busy. So really appreciate that. We'll get to them and so much more besides in the last hour. Plenty to come. Keep us informed and entertained. And thanks so much, by the way, for those of you moved by Ellen with offers of money and assistance. It really, really is a beautiful thing, and hopefully something positive comes out of it all for Ellen. Okay, let's get a news update at 11 o'clock. Good morning, Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Britain's Queen Elizabeth II is being laid to rest this morning. A state funeral, which is being attended by leaders from around the world, has just gotten underway. President Michael D. Higgins and Taoiseach Micheál Martin are both attending the funeral. Well, the flying of the national flag at half-mast at the Public Services Centre in Dunno has been obstructed due to the placing of a banner across the flagpole. On Friday, Donegal County Council's chief executive informed members that on the back of a request by the Department of the Taoiseach, arrangements were being put in place to fly the national flag at half-mast today as the funeral takes place of Queen Elizabeth. That decision was branded a disgrace by Councillor Micheál Colmcille-Asbug, who called for council employees not to comply with requests. The Finance Minister says it's surprising to see energy companies hiking standing charges. The standing charge is an amount customers have to pay regardless of how much energy they use, which is meant to cover the fixed costs of the company. Despite it not being linked to energy prices, an examination by bonkers.ie and the Irish Independent reports increases of more than €300 a year in some fixed charges. 130 new jobs have been announced for the farming sector this morning. The Agriculture Consultants Association says 80 of the roles will be advisory positions, with the remaining 50 in administration. The positions will be based throughout the country, including in Donegal. 2 men have been arrested and £30,000 worth of drugs seized in Strabane. The pair were detected by police who were conducting a checkpoint in the Lifford Road area shortly before midnight when they noted a vehicle turning and driving in the opposite direction. There are fears someone could be seriously injured unless safety measures are rolled out on a main route in Inishowen. Councillor Rena Donaghy says residents in the Tubin area of Burnfoot are living in fear due to the volume of traffic travelling on the road from Derry to Buncrana. And the Glenties area councillor says more must be done to counter illegal dumping in West Donegal. Councillor John Hamish O'Farrill says as part of that process, better recycling facilities must be provided, particularly in Gijor and Fulcara. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
Michaela, thank you very much indeed. And we'll be back with more on the 9 till noon show after we take this break.
Cutting through the spin. The 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
Do you need a little extra help staying in your home? At Bluebird Care, we offer a wide variety of QMark approved personalised home care services across Donegal. And our fully trained and committed staff will always meet your care needs with kindness, compassion and dignity. To get your personal home care assessment plan, visit bluebirdcare.ie or call our care team today on 07491 29562 and bring care home.
Inishowen Credit Union has recently launched Cultivate, an agricultural loan at only 6.55%, APR 6.75%. Call any of their 4 offices for more information or to make an appointment. Inishowen Credit Union, Buncrana, Carndonagh, Moville and Muff, supporting local farmers. Inishowen Credit Union is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
In Aldi, a 9-pack of luxury toilet tissue costs only $3.99. And in Super Value, a 9-pack of luxury toilet tissue costs $4.99. Just saying. And swapping to Aldi could save you over €77 on your big family shop compared to Super Value. Now there's something to bear in mind. Comparing own label or equivalent brands, lowest pro rata use. Check 22nd of the 8th, 2022, excluding offers. Products and prices may vary. Details aldi.ie/swap.
Are you interested in returning to education? ATU Donegal's Certificate in Access Studies for Higher Education is a free course available for adult learners, early school leavers, or those who have never had access to educational opportunities before and want to kickstart their third level education. The closing date is the 23rd of September. For more information, visit lyit.ie/access.
In Ireland, we love our sport. But whatever the game, there are things we'd all love to change.
I'd make the pitch smaller.
But if you're a person from a disadvantaged or underrepresented group, changing the game can mean something very different.
I want to be judged on my performance, not on who I am.
Sport Ireland is working to make everyone feel more included. Find out how we're changing the game at sportireland.ie/sport for all.
Have you a job vacancy that needs urgently filled? Have you tried various ways to find new staff but didn't succeed? Let Highland Radio help you source and fill your current vacancies in the most cost-effective way. Sign up for a job spot and we will tell our 70,000 daily listeners about your vacancies every Monday, Wednesday and Friday during our primetime shows. We will broadcast the latest job opportunities across the Northwest and into counties Derry and Tyrone. All jobs will be listed on highlandradio.com under our job spot section. For more information, contact the advertising team on 07491 5322 or email advertising@highlandradio.com. Highland Radio, delivering your message across the Northwest.
At Cooney's Home Interiors, we pride ourselves on offering you the very best in choice, quality and value on all home furnishings. Treat your home with a visit to Cooney's today and choose from our large range of suites, tables, beds, not to mention our large selection of home accessories. Our motto is, if you see it, you can buy it, and we will deliver it to your door. Cooney's Home Interiors, Letterkenny Retail Park. Style and perfection at incredible value.
Fancy a lunch out today? Kelly's Diner in Letterkenny have a menu packed with great value selections, and there's also specials every day. Or enjoy a 3-course Sunday lunch from 12 to 3 for just $16.75. Take a seat for the best value lunch in town at Kelly's award-winning diner, Mountain Top, Letterkenny.
Are you on a low income and worried about an essential expense or bill that you can't afford? The Department of Social Protection is here to help. The additional needs payment is available to support you with important expenses, such as utility bills or other essential household or personal costs. It's available to anyone on a low income who qualifies, no matter how many hours you work or if you're already on a social welfare payment. This support is provided by the Department's Community Welfare Service. To find out more, visit gov.ie/ANP or call 0818 60 70 80. A Government of Ireland initiative.
The new TFI Young Adult Leap Card is for 19 to 23-year-olds, offering a 50% discount on Transport for Ireland fares, and now also includes many commercial bus operators too. Students who are in full-time education and are over 23 can also avail of these savings with a TFI Student Leap Card. So save 50% on fares with a young adult or student leap card across the Transport for Ireland network and participating commercial bus operators. See leapcard.ie for details and to order yours today.
All right, now Cold Water Eden is a new book that's out. It's one man's pursuit of Ireland's legendary waves. That man is Richie Fitzgerald, and he joins us on the programme now. Hiya, Richie.
Hey, Craig, how are you? Thanks
Great.
for having me.
Congratulations, by the way. I think it's a wonderful thing to achieve. Firstly, to have a life interesting enough that it warrants a book and can provide material for a book, but also to come up with the idea, get it together, get it published, get it printed, get it out there. It's a wonderful achievement, I think.
Yeah, if you haven't lived a life, you're not going to be able to write about one. So I suppose I have lived an interesting life, and yeah, it was all self-done. The process of writing a book. Anyone who's ever written a book or journalism, it's very, very hard. But I enjoyed it, and then I just went out myself. I had no agent, and luckily HarperCollins were very interested in it, and here we are.
Yeah, it's a brilliant achievement. Now, is it almost inevitable that if you're born and raised in Rosnala, Bundoran, in that general area, that at some point or other you'll have a go at surfing?
Probably. I mean, I grew up in that very fertile area of Rosnala, Bundoran, Strand Hill. So there is a lot of surfing, but it's not a shoe-in. There's plenty of people here that don't engage in the sea. And back when I started surfing in the early 80s, I was interested in the sea from when I was a child in the 70s, but it wasn't, an obvious track to go down. I just followed my brother and sister into the water, and I felt a real attraction to it, especially from that first surf on. I caught the bug, and it hasn't really left me since.
Yeah, talk to me about that first experience, the first ever time that you went out on a board, caught your first wave. Talk to me about what that was like and how it gripped you.
Well, I absolutely hated it the first time because, you know, I was a child. I was only 9 years old. I was used to swimming in the sea, but now I had a huge surfboard tied to my leg and a rubber wetsuit on. And, you know, the board hit me in the head and I got dragged under and it was cold and it was November and I was crying and my brother had to carry me up the beach. But that evening when I thawed out and kind of thought about it, there was something in it, just that feeling gliding across water. And I went up to my sister and I said, you know what? Can I go again next weekend? And she said, yeah, I knew you'd like it. So I hated it, but there was a little nucleus of desire to get back out there, and then that blossomed.
To do it good, like you had, because you're the Ireland's first pro surfer, you've competed all over the world. Are you born with an ability that you just happen to hit upon, or is it all determination?
Some people, it's like any sport. Some people have a natural flair for it, and burn bright too early. With me, I had a desire for it, but I had to work really hard at it. I love the sea and I feel very comfortable in waves and underneath the waves and above the waves, but I did have to work extremely hard at surfing. It wasn't in our family at all. My mom or dad weren't keen water people at all, so I didn't have this, you know, lineage in surfing. But look, it's like anything else. If you have a kind of dream and you work hard, you mightn't get every goal, but I certainly reached a lot more than I thought I would have when I was 10 years old.
Yeah, and you had to adapt, didn't you? I mean, you didn't have all the best of equipment and all the right gear to get out on the water, and you know, you had to think outside the box, use some old tricks of the trade.
Yeah, but I mean, Bundoran, Rossnila, Strandhill, this area, in the 1980s, there was no surf shops. It was before Rossnila Surf Club opened. So, you know, we had to use crazy stuff like marigold kitchen gloves over woolen gloves and, you know, swim hats and gammy wetsuits and, you know, half broken surfboards. But I think that, you know, as my mother would have said, that's character building. And I think that stood to me in the years that came. You know, now it's quite easy, you know, all along from Inniscrone right down to Rossnila, Bundoran, there's surf clubs and, you know, there's surfing facilities everywhere. But that's just the way the times go. But when I grew up, it was very different, yes.
Yeah. And how quickly then after you started did it become clear that, you know, this was something you were really good at, that this is something you actually could maybe, you know, it could get you to see the world and to compete? How soon after you started did that become clear to you, or did others people see it in you first?
I think a bit of both, really. I was a dreamer always, you know, even though I grew up on the beautiful Donegal coast here, I was dreaming of Hawaii and Tahiti and all these places. So I had that desire to get on the road. But I signed my first professional contract in 1996. It wasn't life-changing money. It was a couple of grand to get me to and from contests. And I just built on that. By maybe the end of the first decade of the 2000s, I was making a pretty good living at it. But it was one step at a time. I was no kind of massive explosion. That, you know, I was influenced by the Britton brothers in Rossnila, who are legends of the surf, and the Tobin brothers and guys like Jim Meehan here, and the McGlone brothers, my own brothers and sisters. But we were kind of the first generation in Bundoran, while Rossnila and Strandhill had older generations that did help us to get on that road as well.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously you had an amazing learning ground. For those who don't know or haven't heard conversations like this before, what would make Bundoran, Rossnila, Strandhill particularly good for surfing? It's the geographical setup. It's a very serrated coastline, and you know, from Strandhill, Streeta, you know, all the beaches the whole way up, you've got it's a smorgasbord of different waves. So there's beginner ones, intermediate ones, advanced ones. You've got the big waves like Mullaghmore, all in a very condensed stretch of coastline. So that's very unique, not even on an Irish scale, but on a global scale, to have that many world-class and beautiful beaches all rammed together within a 45-minute stretch of coast. So, you know, it's got all the geographical necessities to make surfing any level possible. And I'm correct in saying, too, it's the length of the waves, too, how slow they break or how long they break for. Is that a positive element there? Yeah, we've got different types. We've got short, sharp breaking, you know, really hollow waves, and then we've got beautiful long waves like the Peak and Bundoran, and then really easy waves like Rossnila that anyone can surf, and you know, more challenging waves like Strandhill. So
we've every different type of wave, and that's the attraction for a surfer. You don't want to surf the same wave over and over and again. As your ability gets better, you want a big mixed bag, and that's exactly what we have here.
And we've seen those, I don't know the exact terminology, but, you know, those images, and in fact it's the image on the front of your book here. Do you know where the surfer is in within the wave, or at least it appears like that? Do we have waves like that off the northwest coast regularly?
Yeah. That photograph is me surfing Mullaghmore in County Sligo, so we would call that.
Yes, but I need evidence.
Mullaghmore is a fantastic wave. It's maybe in the top 3 best big waves in the world. So we have plenty of it. We actually have an oversupply of quality waves, and that's why you paddle out in Bundoran or any of the surf breaks around here, and you're going to meet someone from California, another person from Tahiti, we're French, you've got someone from Letterkenny. So it's a real mixed bag, and the waves do the talking. They will attract people. Your hardcore surfer doesn't care about weather. We had a nice summer this year, but they're all about the quality of the waves, and we have extremely high quality waves.
And before we talk more about the book, I remember, I think it was back in my Northwest days, there was a major surfing competition in the Bundoran general area, Rosnala area. Do we see enough of that? Did that ever catch on? And if not, why not?
Yeah, we had the European Championships here in 85, 97 and 2011. So about every 10 years we have a big event. We're due one now. It takes a lot of organization, the right event at the right time with the right people. And there's been a few things that have held it back, the global crash, and then we've had COVID. So I was actually speaking to Shane Smith, he's the tourism manager here, and some of the surf operators about getting another event in the next year. So we will. Excellent. For sure.
All right, good stuff. It's due. Okay, that's brilliant. Right, so tell us how you tell the reader your story, Richie. I think you're best placed to sort of talk to the public about that. I mean, obviously it's from your love of Bundoran is there, of course, and you talk of Bundoran and you first surf, and you take us through then your story. What journey do you want to bring the reader on?
Well, I tried to keep it very readable, the book, which I hope it is, and first reactions are that it is, and I've kept it jargon free, so it's just a general adult will enjoy the book. And I've kept my story of when I started to surfing 50-foot waves as really the main vein of the story. But within that, I kind of tell the cultural and the social evolution that happened in Donegal and Ireland, and then when Ireland's surfing reflected outside and when international surfing reflected Ireland on the inside. So I tell those stories, not chronologically, it's not a big long history of surfing, but I tell them in snippets when it is necessary. So it's a memoir, it's a story, plenty of non-surfers have read it. I don't think HarperCollins would have ever published a surf book only. So it's just a lovely story, I feel, that kind of embraces the coast, good, bad and indifferent, of growing up in this area.
And beyond that too, obviously, surfing is very, very important to you. It's not just a sport. You opened up the shop in Bundoran as well. I didn't realise it was you behind that, but I mean, that's just from times when I was in Bundoran more than I am now. It was just ever present. It's there. It was like a landmark.
Yeah, like we as a family, we opened that shop out of necessity on the main street. Now there's loads of really good surf businesses in Bundoran, but we literally could not get surf wax, suits, boots, so half the stock for the first year.
This is where the candle wax, wax and marigolds come from.
We used to steal christening candles out of mom's shop, melt them down, take the wick out and pour it on top. And, we had all sorts of weird and wonderful ways to get out into the surf. So it was just necessity rather than anything else.
Yeah. And I think people are going to be just interested in the stories. You say you don't have to have a particular interest in a particular subject to enjoy a person's story and observations from within, and the travel that's in there, and your observations about the perception of surfing, being male dominated while the women sat on the beach. But we know here in Donegal better than anywhere how brilliant women are at surfing also too. But there are taboos that have to be broken down, I suppose. Not taboos, but those barriers and glass ceilings.
That's correct. I mean, we have the Queen of Irish surfing here in East Britain, and Zoe Lally, Rosnala as well. But I grew up in a female-dominated household. I had 3 older sisters. So, that machismo was definitely out the window. But yeah, surfing in Ireland was refreshingly, it didn't have that masculine edge to it like it did in other places. So female surfing has definitely been a huge part. And, I was inspired by surfers like Zoe Lally growing up. So that's just the way it was for me. So I never saw it any other way. And I really haven't since. My daughter surfs surfs, my sister surfs. So it's as female as it is male in this area for sure.
Yeah, and it could be easy to forget, of people that don't know, that you're a pioneer of surfing in this country as well. So we get an insight into that, because you're obviously, not every door's open to you, and you have to. There's good stories in your journey in that regard as well. Anything else you want to add about the book, Richie, before we wrap it up?
No, just really, I hope people go out, buy it, enjoy it. It's a story that I think anyone will enjoy, surfing or otherwise.
Yeah, okay. And brilliant to get HarperCollins on board as well, because as you say, they saw something really significant in it, which is great, and a testimony to your writing and your life. So thank you so much, Richie. We really appreciate it. And the best of luck with the book, by the way. It's out now in all the usual places, I imagine.
Bookstores, all bookstores, I think nationwide have it.
Well done. Thank you so much indeed. Richie Fitzgerald there. His book, Cold Water Eden, and it's out right now. Well done. All right, they say everyone's got a book in them, but they don't. But he does, which is great.
The 9 till noon show with St Eunan's GA Club Development draw. €40,000 in prizes. First prize, a Hyundai Kona car, plus 9 other great prizes. Tickets now available online at steunans.gadraw.com or any club member.
Sharing a story is easy to do. On the train with your pals or your fluffy dog too. You might meet a pink unicorn, a pirate or a grizzly bear. Be an astronaut up above, past the moon, over there. So go on, grab a book and explore lots of places. You're sure to find magic in all of the pages.
A little story can make a big difference. That's why McDonald's have provided over 6 million books in Ireland since 2012. And we won't stop there. McDonald's. Change a little, change a lot.
Tune in this Tuesday to the Community Garda information slot, on air after 10 a.m. on the 9 till noon show in association with Sheridan Security Systems. Call today and get your zero-wire alarm system from €299. Sheridan Security, 91-26025.
Are you tired of waiting for treatment or surgery? Did you know you can receive immediate treatment across the border under the new NI planned healthcare scheme at potentially no cost? Donegal patients are still being treated with us at Kingsbridge Private Hospital Northwest post-Brexit. The process is easy and our dedicated team will help guide you through it. So why wait? Contact us today to find out how you can skip the waiting lists and receive treatment in Northern Ireland. Visit kingsbridgeprivatehospital.com, because life matters.
Is your Skoda a little older? Pre-loved, perhaps? What adventures, I wonder, did it have in the past? Another family, another life? Bright city lights? Or a quiet country existence seeing Ireland's best sights? We don't really need your car's story. With a Skoda service, you get a complete vehicle health check, genuine Skoda parts, and free roadside assistance for 12 months.
Your local Skoda dealer is DMG Motors, Clare Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 97 21 396 or visit dmgmotors.ie.
At Ulster Bank, we are closing. And from the 8th of October, all customers whose accounts have passed the 6-month closure notice period will no longer be able to use their accounts. For our customers making nursing home payments, for themselves or on behalf of a loved one, make sure your payments remain uninterrupted by switching your account now. For more vulnerable customers who need extra assistance, please call our vulnerable customer line on 1800 656 001. Call costs may vary and calls from mobiles may not be free. Ulster Bank Ireland DAC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
We wish you a...
It may be too early for Christmas carols, but it's never too early to start the Christmas shopping. Save hundreds, possibly thousands of euros shopping online with Space Hub Derry. We provide a full virtual address mailbox service for all your Christmas parcels and post. Save hundreds, possibly thousands on customs charges this Christmas with Space Hub Derry. Call 04871 878077 for more details.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the programme. I think someone's actually cancelling me a whole column, I think, has been out and about. Someone mentioned it was on social media. And he has returned a flag in Letterkenny to full mast that had been reduced to half mast. I don't know what the consequences of that is, but just that seems to be what's happening out there. Hi, Greg. Standing charges on electric bills should be reduced to 10 for every building across the board. There should be no difference between town and country, paying about $349 a year and maybe more. Yeah. Let me see. I have to say, the TV footage of the Queen having toast on marmalade with Paddington Bear is wonderful. And also the footage of the James Bond helicopter parachute jump at her age, fantastic. That comes in from Carol. But Carol, of course, you would know that that was for the Olympics, and she didn't actually parachute. I'm watching the Queen's funeral, and what a spectacular event. Well done to us here, too, for being gracious about her passing, says a caller there. The radio station should hold a minute's silence for the Queen. There was a lot of services yesterday in Donegal, so it would be nice to see the station have a minute's silence. We're living in 2022, and things have moved on now. Donegal has the highest percentage of Protestants living here, so it would be good respect to them and the Unionists in the county. The majority of people in this country wouldn't accept the flying of the flag at half-mast. They wouldn't do the same for us, so why should we for they? Another, I was at Garth Brooks on Saturday night with my sister, and we were sitting for the concert. Great night, however... When we went to leave, we were walking out. There was no railings to help us down the steps. We both had to help each other down. Why does the GEA not have railings in place? Right, a caller thinks that it's not mica in the blocks, it's quarry dust. Well, there's quite literally a team of international scientists who've studied for a very, very long time who have determined what's in the blocks, but I respect your view. I'm not sure what your background is, but they say building materials should wash sand and gravel in the building specifications, but that didn't happen in this case. What happens is the dust kills the cement and eventually the blocks crumble. Maybe there's something to that. The caller is a builder for over 60 years and the information comes from his personal expertise. So I think that's a point of view that definitely would be, the scientists might be interested into. It might form a more rounded view of what's going on to them. A caller was taken into hospital on Friday night. I was there all day on Saturday. I didn't get any medication. In the end, I had to leave on Saturday. Okay, not sorry to hear that, Dennis. I really am. Okay, let us see. I think happy birthday to Liam Ponsonby, who celebrated a big birthday at the weekend. That comes in from all the Brogans in Donegal town. And another birthday celebrated over the last either today or yesterday, I believe, is the late and great Big Tom. All right, so happy birthday to the late Big Tom there, and anyone else, of course, celebrating a birthday today. Right, okay. We have to take a very short break. Stay right where you are, because we're going to be speaking to Mel Morgan, founder of the UK State Pension Abroad. Might be some interesting information for some of you out there.
Would you like to win a Hyundai Kona car? Well, that's the first prize in the St. Eunan's GA Club Development Draw, who are sponsors of this week's 9 till noon show. There's 9 other great prizes, and tickets are now available online at steunensgadraw.com or any club member.
Are you frequently asking others to speak slowly, clearly and loudly? Is listening to the TV or radio becoming harder? If your hearing is affecting your everyday life, Connect Hearing are here to help. Our clinics in Letterkenny and Dunloe are open Monday to Friday, where you can avail of our hearing test, wax removal and repair services. Take that first step to better hearing. Call us today on 07491 13296. Connect Hearing, connecting you to life.
There's bingo every Monday night at Halfway House Bingo Burnfoot. Doors open at 7:30 with eyes down at 8:30. €2,500 must go. The snowball is now €6,300 on 45 numbers or less. If you're not in, you can't win. That's Halfway House Bingo tonight at 8:30.
With everyone looking to shrink their bill these days, Dunnes Stores gives you new ways to save on your shop with double savers. First, you'll save in the aisles when you fill your basket with fantastic low prices across thousands of great products. Then, you'll save again at the till with our 5 off 25 grocery voucher. Shrink your bill with double savers, new from Dunnes Stores. Dunnes Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on next in-store grocery shop of €25 or more.
Kia Sportage, Donegal's best-selling car in both new and used. Call into us in Letterkenny or Malin to find out why the Sportage is a Donegal favourite. Take a test drive today and you won't be disappointed.
An important timetable update from TFI Local Link Donegal, Sligo, Leitrim, route 953 Moville to Letterkenny. Great news from Monday, September 19th. TFI Local Link route 953 Moville to Letterkenny will be extended to Greencastle and will now service locations including Kildaff, Glenealy, Greencastle and Bridgend. Operating up to 3 times per day, 7 days a week. The enhanced route will now provide a new peak time service for students and commuters into Letterkenny, arriving for both 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. and returning at 5 p.m, as well as improved connectivity to regional bus services for onward travel. For timetables, fares and all route information, see locallinkdsl.ie or call our office on 074 9741 644. TFI Local Link, part of the Transport for Ireland network.
Okie dokie, welcome back. Now, did you work? Are you one of the 200,000 Irish who worked for 3+ years in Britain or Northern Ireland? Well, there could be something in it for you. Mel Morgan is founder of UK State Pensions Abroad and joins us on the show now. Good morning, Mel.
Good morning, Greg.
Okay, so who should prick their ears up for this? Who could potentially benefit from this information?
Well, I think anyone in the Republic who's moved back, having spent and worked and paid national insurance in the UK for 3.5 years or more should have an ability to claim a benefit. I suppose my wife and I discovered this early stages of the lockdown. We spent 5 years working in Warwickshire before moving back to Waterford, where we currently live. And I decided I'd try and figure out if I had any state pensions. Didn't think there'd be any opportunity. So I spent some time and I got a UK state pension from the UK Department of Work and Pensions, and they told me quite properly that I didn't have a pension. And I said, I was about to just drop the phone and say, okay, well, that's it. And they said, well, you might have an ability to enhance it. So I looked into this a little bit further, and having had 5 years, I was able to, what they call buy back, effectively pay back 15 years to get 15 years extra service back to 2006-07. And then I'm entitled to continue to contribute to my UK state pension every year until I retire, which will be in another 5.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So to buy this back, because I moved straight back and continued to work in Ireland, I was giving what they call a Class 2 classification in the UK, which meant that the buyback years was only costing me £160 per year.
Ah, right, okay.
So to buy back 15 years, okay, it's a lot of money. It's £2,400 sterling. And then every year forward, I pay £160 odd till I retire. So total investment of about £3,400.
And what is the potential return post-retirement?
Once I retire, I will get £10,000 per annum.
Right, okay.
So effectively, I've paid it off in probably about 6 or 7 months.
Yeah. And anybody who worked for a period of time in Britain or Northern Ireland, so a lot of people that maybe, if you lived in Buncrana and worked in Derry, for example, and paid your tax and what have you there, you also could benefit from this. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe so. I mean, I've checked that out because I knew I was coming on Highland Radio, because most of my work so far has been in the southwest and in the south. But I do recognise, of course, and I know Donegal very well, that there would be a lot of people who would be living and continue to live in Donegal and work across the border. I know on the forums they do ask, what was your former UK address? But if you didn't have a UK address, your UK tax information or your national insurance information that you would get from the government, if you're paying UK national insurance, would come to your Buncrana address if you're in Buncrana.
Mm-hmm.
So you should be able to use that address, and you would still have built up national insurance contributions. So it should be the same.
Now, this is something that's being looked at the moment, in that there's a window of opportunity here that is closing somewhat. Is it? Tell us about that.
Yes. They revised the state pension in 2016 and put a number of years on the end of it that you could claim back these 15 years, up to 15 years. And that finishes at the end of this year, at the end of this tax year, UK tax year. But it does take them about 14 weeks to process. Now, the end of the tax year in the UK, as people may know, is 5th of April, like ours used to be years ago. So my recommendation is, if you want to apply for this, you should apply straight away, because I would say by the end of October, if you don't have the application in, you won't get the response back, and you won't be able to make the payment to buy back the years before the end of the UK tax year. So
Understood.
I would say November is probably the deadline. After that, you can still purchase back up to 6 years. Now, people may not altogether 15 years, because effectively they may have a lot of state pension entitlements already built up.
Mm-hmm.
You need 35 years of state pensions to get a full UK state pension, the 35-year contributions. So if you get 15 years back, let's say you worked 8 years, and let's say you have another 8-9 years to go before you retire, you've pretty much built up everything that you need to build up. So it's a unique opportunity at the present moment in time. And my wife and I both did it, and it's cost us a lot of money, but it'll give us, it'll give us effectively £20,000 between the two of us when we retire. But the interesting thing as well is it doesn't affect your Irish state pension. So we will also have a contributing Irish state pension, which is not affected by this.
So hopefully you'll be able
That's
to
the one thing
enjoy
my wife said to me before I paid the money. He said, look, you better check, because you don't want to be paying back a UK state pension for the same years as you were earning them in Ireland, because they might take it off you, but
All
they
right.
don't.
Well, if people, obviously you and your wife have done much of the groundwork. If people want more information, they can go to a website, ukstatepensionabroad.com. And as I say, you have experienced that. And I hope you have a long and happy and more comfortable retirement as a result, and many more besides, Mal.
Yeah, there's a calculator on that as well, so that if people want to put in how many years they've spent working in the UK paying national insurance and what their current age is, they'll get an idea of what state pension they can earn.
All right.
Now, I must say that if you returned, you worked in the UK and returned to Ireland, you didn't go into the workforce straight away or soon thereafter, you may not get that Class 2 classification where it only costs £160 a year. It might cost you £800 a year. There's two classifications. But I would say 80% of the people I've dealt with, it's been Class 2, which is the cheaper form of buyback. But I'd ask anyone to go into ukstatepensionabroad.com. And this is not to confuse with there's a lot of ads about people, do you have a private pension in the UK? Would you like to send it back to Ireland? This is not about private pension. This is about your entitlement with the UK government.
Yeah, that you worked in the UK, you paid your contributions, and it's an entitlement. A caller wants to know, do you know if the person claiming the English pension passes away, does the surviving partner, are they entitled to that pension then?
No. That is, if there's any risk involved, if you pass away, there's nothing for the surviving partner. They amended that in 2016. But having said that, if you can live your life through to when you're 66 and a half or 67, you effectively will get your money back within a year.
Okay, brilliant stuff. Right, it might not be for anyone, but anyone who's got an interest in that. And as you know, many thousands of people in Donegal spent much of their life, or some of their life at least, working in certainly in Britain, and we'll get some clarification. You will, I'm sure, as it relates to the Northern Ireland situation and your
I'm sure the
principal private residence at that time. But anyway, Mel, listen, thanks for your time.
No, at all, Greg.
Take
Thanks
care.
very much.
Bye-bye.
I was listening to your part with the nurses earlier on, the nursing program. There's a lot of nurses are in this frame as well, I found.
Ah, right,
People,
okay, that makes sense.
Nurses have gone to work in the UK and moved back.
Okay, yep, that makes sense. All right, Mel, thanks. Mel Morgan, founder of UK State Pensions Abroad. You can check out their website.com there and see if that's of any use to you. Greg, I wonder if the government gave small businesses the equivalent of what an employee would earn if they were on social welfare. The business could then top up the payment to the full wage. This would help immensely towards the cash flow in a business that could go towards the higher running costs. It would perhaps even stimulate more businesses to employ more people and get more people into employment. Perhaps do this for a year or two. Just a thought. Thanks for all you and your team do for the local and business communities in Donegal. Good morning, Greg. Further to the increases in electricity costs, both on consumption charges and standing charges, I, being a pensioner, have decided the latest bill I got 2 weeks ago. I have decided you're not going to pay it, sorry. I'm doing so in protest, but also assuming that government will provide credits to the electricity companies without giving the payments directly to us. I would encourage others to do likewise to make the point that we are not going to put up with being exploited any longer. Okay, that is a protest, but can I just say that if they decide to cut you off, reconnection charges and stuff, it's not to give in, but we have to be conscious of that. And two, also, I'm supremely conscious of the the hundreds of thousands of people who are on prepaid power, and they cannot sort of take part in such a protest because as soon as they stop pumping money into their meter, they no longer have any electricity. A caller says, giving the pensioners €10 is a disgrace. It would not even pay for extra fuel in the car or cover any of the extra costs. Another, as someone who only just survives on disability due to long-term illness as it is, I'm already not turning on lights and have no oil for heating my house at all. So it is hot water bottles and extra clothes from me here on in. It would be worth maybe in your situation to give the likes of St. Vincent de Paul a call and see if you would qualify from assistance from them. I think it would be worth a call. If you're sitting in the dark with no heating on, I think you should qualify for some assistance. There is also through the Department of Social Welfare, there are some unique payments or one-off payments that you may well be entitled to. So don't just not give in, but contact the Department of Social Welfare and say, are there any special payments, one-off payments? This is my situation. There's ads on the radio inviting you to do so. I'd very much recommend that you do. Let me know if you do and if anything comes from it, because I'll stop mentioning it if it's a load of nonsense. But if there's anyone out there, and I know it's private and you might not want to share, but has anyone out there gotten any further assistance from social welfare as it relates to electricity or oil or heating, anything like that there? That system that's being advertised on stations like this, have you used it? What do you need to, where do you need to be at to qualify for it? What difference does it make? And then I can either tell other people and it's useful to them, or else I'm wasting their time and I don't want to do that either, and you can help me with that. I worked for 9 years in Derry, and I now get the pension there. A bit each month. People should check up on what they're entitled to. But sometimes, and what this is this is a scheme, it seems, whereby you wouldn't ordinarily be entitled to the pension because you didn't work there long enough, but you can pay back in and then receive the pension. That's the difference there between your situation and what Mel was talking to us about. Greg, I've been watching the Queen's funeral, went out for a refill of coffee, had Highland playing on the kitchen, heard you reading a text from someone, but you spoiled the story for me and others saying the Queen didn't really jump from the plane. Unnecessary quote. So we want to... I don't know what to say, so I'm like ruining it. But she didn't jump out of the plane, nor did she sit opposite Paddington. That was special effects. She sat opposite... Anyway, sorry, I don't want to ruin anyone's day. I apologise. I'm not sure if you're being serious or not. Is all other funerals, burials cancelled in the UK today? Is this true? I don't know. Could it be? Can anyone shed any light on the wisdom of having St. Eunan's versus St. Michael's in Glenties and Dunloe versus Termine in Arddraw with fuel at almost €2 per litre? So many fine venues and pitches in between the competing games. It's a very good point, actually, in this day and age. I'm going to put that to one side, maybe follow that up. Wish Rosemary Begley from Kerrykeele a big happy birthday, who celebrated it on the weekend. From Caroline, Peter, Jason, Shannon, Owen and godson Lee. Another, the Queen was not a Protestant. The Protestant faith is German and so is the Presbyterian. The Queen is Church of England, which is classed as an English Catholic. She's closer to the Catholic faith than she is to the Protestant faith, says a caller there. Okay. I can't stand over much of that stuff because I simply don't know, but I'll just pass it on and you can make up your own minds.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show with St. Eunan's GA Club Development Draw. €40,000 in prizes. First prize, a Hyundai Kona car, plus 9 other great prizes. Tickets now available online at steunans.gadraw.com or any club member.
Are you worried about trees on your property? Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet are fully insured and have over 40 years experience in dangerous tree removal, tree felling, surgery and stump grinding. For peace of mind, call Northwest Forest Services Ballybuffet for a no obligation quotation on 913233.
Circle ELT is the new name for Repack ELT. Circle ELT work to ensure waste tyres are managed in an environmentally sound way through our 3,000 member outlets nationwide. Our new name reflects our mission to expand the sustainable uses for waste tyres. Circle End of Life Tyres, driving a sustainable tomorrow. To find out more, visit circleelt.ie.
SafeTech are running a number of accredited programs this autumn, including basic scaffolding, electro and butt fusion welding, roadworks, plant and machinery, confined spaces, water hygiene for utilities, UK construction cards and more. Funding available on all these programs. T's and C's apply. For all your safety and training needs, visit safetech.ie.
When it comes to herding up the latest news, views and reviews on farming in Ireland, nobody does it like the Farming Independent. Chasing down key stories, trends and topics from the ever-changing world of farming and agri in Ireland. So pick up the Farming Independent every Tuesday and get the lay of the land. Up close and independent.
The Johnny Doherty Festival of Irish Music and Dancing Ardra, Friday 23rd to Sunday 25th of September. 3 days of Kelly's dance workshops, pub sessions and concerts featuring Zoe Conway and John McIntyre on Friday in the Beehive, Cherries the Ladies on Saturday in the GEA Clubhouse, and Dermot Byrne, Breed Harper and Stevie Cooney on Sunday in the Beehive. For more details, see johnnydohertyfestival.com.
Okay, you're welcome back to the 9 till noon show, the last part of the programme, and delighted to welcome back on to the show Paul Dawson. Paul, good morning to you. How are you keeping?
Good morning, Greg. I'm very well, thank you.
Right, okay, and people will remember you. You spoke to us a couple of times as it relates to getting changing facilities, one of a kind, changing facilities, hopefully not one of a kind, but certainly one of a kind for now in the county at Nairn Beach. Yeah. Right, okay, so I didn't do a great deal at the weekend. How was your weekend?
Rather busy, to be perfectly honest. I've been taken to the top of Slieve League as we know, the highest sea cliffs in Europe by 40 persons from varying backgrounds. There was 16 Ukrainian people that are staying in Killybegs at present, and the rest were made up of former members of the Donegal Mountain Rescue. We had a serving guard, my son, very close friends, and members of the MS Society, and members of Donegal Centre for Independent Living also. So it was, it was an exciting weekend, yeah.
And this is all in an effort to raise funds for a 4x4 wheelchair at Narn Beach, which would be another fantastic addition for that area. Why did you come up with this challenge, Paul?
Well, to be honest, we are actually at present, as you said, fundraising for the 4x4 chair. But this was kind of separate, so we decided to tie it in through the keyword accessibility for all. And a friend of mine, Joe Malloy, who's ex-Mountain Rescue, came up with the idea, why don't you go to the Sea Cliffs? So then our local guard, or it's quite a complicated story, but our local guard, Paul McCrossan, led the team up there. So we went all the way to the top. They got me up there, and we actually carried a collapsible chair kindly given to us by DCIL. We carried up, my son actually carried it up on a backpack. We put it back together up there, sat me in it, and took the photographs of some amazing photographs. But as I say, for a good 2.5 kilometres, the chair we're actually fundraising for actually took us up the pathway, and then the guys basically transferred me into a stretcher, carried me a large amount of the way then, especially on the descent, because it was much more dangerous. So it was great to have these mountain rescue guys.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because it proved the benefits of these chairs, and I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised it's the first time this has ever been done, which makes it a remarkable achievement, of course, because who else would try it, Paul?
Well, that is true. We did discuss that. It's not that I suppose it couldn't be achieved, but I suppose it's just, as I say, a load of guys with mad ideas, and they thought we'd do it. And then why did you want to go up there was the question. Well, because I wanted to. We actually spoke to a German tourist in the Rusty Mackerel down there. We were having some food, and he says, my friend was talking to him, and he said, you went to these cliffs in a wheelchair, and it's never been done. Why? And my friend just replied, because we wanted to. And he said, that is so Irish.
And also, why should you not sit at the top of these cliffs and enjoy these views?
Well, exactly. The wider message is why not? With accessibility, especially when you've got friends and people pulling alongside like we did on that day. I would never have got to the top. There's nothing, I mean, I'm focused. The focus is on me, but the effort was the guys that put me up there. I mean, it was amazing. Without all those people supporting me, I wouldn't have got off the ground, to be perfectly honest.
Because it's a story of unity, of determination, of, as I said, why not? You know, it goes far beyond almost like the fundraising and everything else. I think it's powerful.
100%. Like. And that is the message, overcoming adversity and fortune. It was amazing. There was a photograph at the very top where we're right on the edge of the cliff. You say I was in the chair, and we had a gathering of people from Ukraine and people from Ireland with both flags, and it's in a good friend who was there, a reporter from the Donegal News, Harry Walsh, took the photograph, and it's there today. It was amazing, as you said. It was about achieving something that hadn't. Not that can't be achieved, but that hadn't up until now, and it just shows you. And so many people have made friends now that they'll keep for a long, long time. That's what was said to me as well. You brought a lot of people together, and people that hadn't seen each other for years have come together. So for that, I feel really, really happy.
Yeah, because it's not a message for just people with progressive MS. It's not just a message with restricted mobilities. It's for any of us. You know, if you want to do something, set yourself a target and do it.
Exactly, do it as long as it's done safely. I suppose.
Of course, yeah.
You know, and these guys, the core of this team, I'd say Joe Malloy, Paul McCrossan, the other guy, the Mountain Rescue guys. There was 4 or 5 of them. I'm an firefighter myself, so I know how T-pop goes. And to lie in that chair rather lazily and behold the professionalism of them, and then the other people, absolutely no one shirked work that day. Everyone was in there, totally everyone in that team pulled their weight up and down. It was fantastic.
Brilliant. So you've referenced the chair, the 4x4 chair, a couple of times. Is it a case that the chair is available now and it's about fundraising to pay for it, or was the chair that was used on Saturday similar to the one that you want for Narn Beach? Like, if people want to sort of recognise what you've done and contribute, what stage are we at in terms of the fundraising drive, Paul?
Yeah, we're well past the €6,000 mark, in actual fact. That was an excellent question you asked there. The company Healthcare 21 actually brought the chair down, and the guy himself, the salesman for the chair, and a member of was with us. He actually accompanied us to the top. He was our technical support, if you like. So the chair is an astounding chair. What this is a trial model that they use to show people, obviously, how it performs. So he very kindly turned up early in the morning with that chair. We took it off, got me into it. Everyone lifted me into it, and we've seen how it performed. And he said, "Oh my God, it's outperformed what we." If you actually look at the chair, it's called the Magic Mobility X8. It's all over YouTube. It's an American chair, but they've got videos of it doing work there over a beach. But my God, the terrain up Slieve League, as you know, it was up the Pilgrim's Path. The Pilgrim's Path is the route we took, which is really quite a challenge.
He's a clever guy, isn't he, actually, to see the opportunity here in terms of, a bit of publicity as well. I presume it's a business, but also to prove what the chair can do, to be seen, to be supporting you. Very clever. Good. I'd love to see that. It shows a good business head.
Very nice guy as well. Yeah,
which helps.
Those videos, I'll send you a video one.
The GoFundMe page is up and running. You've passed the €6,000 mark on the way to your target. So it's how do people? Because with these GoFundMes after the / it can get a wee bit confusing. So what's the best way for people to find this link? They'll get a bit of information about what you've achieved, you and the people that were with you. But also, if they want to throw a couple of euro towards this, where's the best way to find the link? We'll share it on our socials as well, of course, Paul.
I was chatting to my wife about that because I'm not very technically advanced in my knowledge, and she said the best thing, she just put in GoFundMe, yarn Portneuf 4x4 chair.
That'll get you there. Brilliant.
So that'll get you a general search, and
right. What's next,
it will be
Paul?
fantastic because it'll give people accessibility as well, Greg, as you can imagine.
Oh yeah,
that's the whole.
I think we know. I think all of us know someone in our lives, either directly or indirectly, that would benefit from the amazing changing facilities and also the use of this chair. That people who have a condition that is taking away a bit of their movement can still enjoy what other people enjoy, changing in dignity and well resourced in that regard, but also being able to go on to it. We can't promise everyone a trip up Slieve League, but certainly to be able to access that beautiful beach, and its inclusivity, and it's important. And I think we all know.
Independence as well, very important.
Yeah, exactly.
Independence.
100%. All right, well done again, Paul. I was going to say to you, what next for you now? I mean.
Well, we'll probably Joe Malloy, who's a bit of a crazy guy, suggested Mount Erigo.
Good man, Joe. Well done.
Good man, Joe. Yeah. What's the space is about?
Okay, listen. Well done to you. Lovely to hear from you again, Paul. Well done, and we'll share the link to that GoFundMe as well.
Thank you.
All right,
bye
bye. All right, well done.
Day.
Bye.
Bye.
You too. Okay. That's where we have to leave it on the programme today. Thanks to all of you who listened to the show, watched the programme, messaged in, took part. Any messages we didn't get to, I'll carry them over till tomorrow. Thanks to Donna Marie and Emma who worked on the show.